Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts movie news. I am Peter, that is Connor, and yeah, that's what we do. We talk about the week's movie news. We also talk about this week's trailers. We pick our favourite of the trailers of the week. We also update on anything we've been watching this week that wasn't for review purposes. And we have different sections. We have a comic book movie section, we have a horror movie news section, general news section. Box office usually kicks off the show. That's what we're going to do. That's what we do every week. Of course, if you're used to this show every week, and the TV news that we do, you'll notice that we've swapped places this week. Normally the TV news is first, and then the next day you get the movie news. This week it's flipped. This one's coming first, early Saturday, and then TV news will be tomorrow. So yes. That's not a big difference, but you might be going, hey, this is weird. Why are they not talking about TV?
That's because the movie news. Get that from the title.
I was trying to be playful or whatever, and Connor's just not having it.
No. People aren't idiots. Don't make them think that they're going, oh, why are they not talking about TV in the movie news? Insulting our viewers.
I wasn't being literal. I wasn't actually thinking anyone. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. That's the plan. Now, this show has been ballooning in size since it began. I don't know what the first episode was. The first episode I think was closer to 2 hours. It's been ballooning. There's a couple of 220s, and the last two were about 240.
Are we a bit smaller this week?
I'm gonna lie. I had the axe out as I was looking through news stories.
A bit more rigorous.
The axe was coming. I was like, oh, is this interesting? No, cut. Is this interesting? Cut. That doesn't necessarily mean everything that's in here is going to be the most interesting thing ever, but I was being a bit more vicious. I was taking things out. On top of that, I think it's naturally a bit of a later week anyway, especially in trailers, which is probably a side effect of it being the week after all the Super Bowl trailers came out.
Yeah, it was funny. You sent me the list of trailers. I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
That was a nice surprise, because usually I get like a huge list. I was like, oh, this is half the size.
The last couple of weeks I have said at some point, we're shooting for this to be a shorter episode, and by short I just mean like 2 hours or less. Not like super short. I just mean not nearly 3 hours. That's what I mean. The last couple of times I've said that, it's ended up in the two longest episodes so far.
Yeah, it gets longer every time you say that.
But I do genuinely believe this will be a shorter episode, in at least the last couple. Maybe not the shortest overall, but definitely shorter than the last two.
Now, how can we stretch this out?
I'll put Connor's life on the line.
Oh, thanks.
I'm not going to put something I actually care about on the line, Connor.
I was going to say, this feels like you're now going to intentionally pad it out.
Oh, I'll find a way. So we'll start with box office, as we typically do. Looking at last weekend's domestic box office, and I make Connor do a bit of guessing. With a bit of luck, he's not seen what the results
I haven't,
were.
and I don't even know what came out last week.
Yeah, what's number one? It's a new entry. I'll give you that.
Okay, so it's not Jumanji.
It's not Jumanji.
All right. I can't remember what came out a week ago.
It's the concluding chapter in a trilogy.
I mean, we had the Maze Runner movie, but that's not a new entry.
That was before.
Yeah. What else in a trilogy came out? Oh my god, I have no idea. Am I going to feel really stupid for this?
I don't think so. It's not exactly something that would... I mean, you know of it, but I don't know. You're not going to be like, oh, that's something I should know.
Okay, go on then.
50 Shades Freed was number one.
Oh, of course.
That got 38.5 million. Out of curiosity's sake, I had a look at the worldwide. So 155.6 million worldwide. But number 2 was Peter Rabbit, also a new entry at 25 million. Number 3 was The 1517 to Paris at 12.5 million. Then number 4, which is the first non-new entry, is Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle with 10 million.
Still 10 million though.
Yeah, worldwide that is at 887 million, so that'll probably cross the 900 million mark before it's done.
That's damn impressive for that.
Which is wacky for Jumanji 2, 20 years later.
No one could have called that.
Oh, they should have called it Jumanji H2O, just in the tradition set up by the franchise Halloween. The hit franchise.
No.
Hey, technically this is a movie show. I should have one other than Buffy. I should have a movie version.
You should, but can you fit Halloween into everything? I'm not sure you can.
Maybe it's not the right horse to back, I admit. but just in terms of getting
You,
everything
you,
to
you
connect
you
to
should
it.
find something different, but anything that gives me a break from that.
I can't compare it to the movie Buffy because, hell, it's been so long since I've seen it that I don't think I could.
I never watched it. I made a point of not bothering.
You don't need to. It's not.
I know I don't.
Just, I mean, there's a couple of decent little jokes or whatever, but it's not.
Yeah,
There's a reason why Whedon went, you know what, I'm going to do this again.
yeah.
I'm going to try it again.
Forget that.
Number 5 is The Greatest Showman with 6.4 million. Number 6 is The Maze Runner, The Death Cure with 6.2 million. Number 7 is Winchester, 5.2 million. Number 8 is The Post with 3.6 million. Number 9, which was also at 9 last week, so this is just held steady, is The Shape of Water with 3.1 million. Although that said, it's actually down 28% in terms of intakes. So I mean that just means that the top 10 overalls is just lower.
Lower, yeah.
And then number 10 is Den of Thieves with 2.999 million.
Okay.
I usually go one decimal place, but I thought it'd be worth saying 999.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's that close.
Yeah. I feel bad for them.
I know, it's so close. They're what? They're $621 off.
I feel like, when you're that close, you want to just go, no, I could have done that.
That's like one extra busy screening.
Yeah.
That's how close that is. But hey, that's the box office. Oh, I do have... I wanted to just pull out what was number 1 in Korea.
Is there a good reason for this?
No, I just saw the title and I said I want to talk about that. This is actually the third installment in a franchise, so now I've got a new franchise I want to go and find. Detective K, Secret of the Living Dead was the number 1 movie in Korea last weekend.
Korea has taste.
Yeah, South Korea specifically, of course.
I didn't think I needed to specify that.
No, just in case anyone questions it. Yeah, $7.27 million over the weekend. Living Dead is the story of a detective, his partner, and a mysterious amnesic woman who team up to solve a series of murders. But the image in the article though of like it looked very kind of like jolly. It looked like a jolly detective movie.
Brilliant.
I don't know. I want to know more about Detective K. I want to try and find out.
Is that just the letter K or like KAY?
Just the letter K, Detective K. So I think that's the franchise, and then
I
assume they all have different subtitles afterwards. But yeah, so
if it makes you feel any better, I'm pretty positive I can guess next week's.
Well, duh. There's a Marvel movie coming out. I wonder what's going to be number 1.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm pretty confident of my guessing ability.
The only question
next week now.
The only question is how much. That's the question. That's what you'll be guessing next week if you don't already see it.
That is true, and I'm not willing to guess that.
Oh, you should guess it in advance. Yeah, we should guess it in advance. That's more fun. Yeah. So what do you think Black Panther's going to be? What's this opening domestic weekend?
What have the last couple of Marvel movies made? Just so I've got some benchmark.
I can look that up and tell you exactly.
Yeah, because I want this to be an educated guess. I don't want to just throw out a number for the sake of it.
Alright. Thor Ragnarok opening weekend was 122 million.
Okay.
Right. Spider-Man Homecoming. What was that? What the hell is this giving me? That Box Office Mojo has listings for Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4 still. I was like, what the hell are these? Might as well delete them, Mojo.
Yeah, they ain't happening.
No need for those. 117. Oh, that was less than Thor. That was surprising. Not by much, but still surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, Spider-Man.
I know it is. Yeah. Clearly, the Thor being the rule of sequels being where they typically go up as applied there.
I don't think it's that. I think it's on the other end of the spectrum. I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 did more damage to Spider-Man that it put it a bit lower than it should have been. That's my guess. And then Guardians had the biggest of the three, 146 million.
Okay, so obviously, this is still a Marvel movie, so it's going to crack the 100. I think that's a
that's a safe bet. Yeah.
I think it does a little bit lower than the others with it being a new property. Even though it's getting good buzz, I think it does slightly lower.
I think it does higher than Spider-Man and Thor. Here's my reasoning. Because it's the first not counting Blade, before anyone corrects me, because it's the first big, and I mean big budget, black superhero, I think, kind of like how Wonder Woman had that kind of buzz to it as well, because it was the first big female superhero movie, and that did really well. I think it's going to have that effect to it, and I think it's going to do...
I considered that, and I'm just wondering how much that's going to stack against it just being a new concept to a lot of people.
I am going to put my money in at 135 million. That's my... And I've not looked at the predictions because we are recording this late Friday. There are technically early predictions already up, but we've not looked at those. We're just...
No, I haven't either. I'm going to go a bit lower. I'm going to go 117.
117. Okay.
Unspecific.
That's right under Spider-Man. But that's
right under. Yeah.
Okay. 117. All right, I've got 135.
We're not going to remember this next week, are we?
I'll note it down. I'll write it in my news at the end. I'm just trying to think what the loser has to do.
No. If you have to say that before we make guesses and agree to this. You can't put this in after the fact.
My show, my rules. I can't think it. For the record, I was thinking just something stupid you'd have to do on the show. Nothing.
No. Well, we'll think of something stupid to do for future bets.
Or alternatively, what does the winner get? I suppose maybe is the maybe it's the better thing to say. I don't know. Let us know what you think the winner or loser should get if we do guesses of what's number one, or maybe not what's number, because it's usually quite obvious what number one's going to be. Maybe not always, but most of the time it is, because it's usually whatever the big new movie is will likely be number one. But if we're guessing the amount it's going to open with,
or just any time we make a stupid bet on something.
Alright, I feel like that'll be the obvious thing to make a bet on every week, though.
Yeah, probably will.
But hey, that's box office. Alright, side bet. What's number one in Korea? I'm kidding. So that'll take us on.
Still Black Panther is the answer.
Assuming it's out the same week, I don't know if it is.
I'm making a guess at that. I don't actually know.
But yeah, so that takes us neatly on to comic book movie news. That's usually the first news section after the box office. And we have a juicy thing to begin with, I think. A shocking headline I read this week, because Brian Michael Bendis just signed an exclusive contract with DC Comics, and then there's a news article coming out that Fox have hired him to write an X-Men movie. What?
He's playing both sides.
You say he's playing both sides. I think this is a weird technicality, because technically it's not Marvel who owns this.
Yeah, definitely, because he's not working for Marvel Studios. He's
exactly. Not yet. This is the weird thing. Every time I'm about to say, I have to call into question if it'll ever actually go through, because if the Disney Fox deal goes through, and this is not...
It depends how quickly they push this through.
Yeah. But hey, so it's a mystery project called 143, that's the code name. But eagle-eyed X-Men fans have pointed out that is a very prominent issue for one Kitty Pryde. So the general consensus right now is that it is a Kitty Pryde focused film. Which I actually like, because she's probably my favourite X-Men. Or X-Man. So I have no. I mean, I don't necessarily know if I want solo X-Men movies necessarily, but if you're going to do them, sure, my favourite one. Why not?
Yeah.
But
I'm with you.
But hey, I have no idea how Bendis is at writing a movie, because
has he done any movie work at all?
He probably has, but nothing that I know of. Or
it's a different format, obviously. They're styled differently.
I want to go out on the limb and say that he wrote like an episode of Powers when that was on.
I never watched that.
I saw the first episode. There was whatever. It was so. But I don't actually know if he wrote that, though. I'm just making a guess and saying
no.
that felt like something he was really closely entwined with. Whereas
you're right the first time.
I was. I said it. I said it and guessed myself. Then no, I was right the first time I went back. But yeah, so I don't know. But I mean, Ali Bendis is a comic book writer, and the other thing here is that this is a script for Tim Miller to direct. Tim Miller, of course, directed the first Deadpool, and he's got a Terminator movie in the works right now. So,
big hot shot coming up.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, they're giving him movies to do. Let's see if he can make the first non-terrible, non-James Cameron Terminator movie.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Because they've all been terrible after James Cameron decided not to direct anymore.
That's fair.
It ended at T2. That's my story, and I'm
I
sticking
mean,
to
I
it.
think 3 is watchable, but
Oh, three's watch. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's like, yeah, it's just
it's not a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but
it,
it's like, it's all right.
it just retcons the end of two just so it can exist, and there's not really any like justification for it. At the end of it, I was like, well, it didn't really do anything to justify its existence.
It's fine, but yeah, unlike the others.
Yeah.
One of which I still haven't seen, and I don't plan to.
There's one really funny J.K. Simmons line. I don't know if that's worth seeing it, but there's one really funny J.K. Simmons line.
I don't think it is worth seeing it for that. I could probably just look it up on YouTube.
Honestly, Genesis is a terrible, terrible film, but it's such a train wreck that it's actually kind of easy to get through because you're just constantly in awe of all the stupid crap it's doing.
Oh, I bet.
It's one of those. I think it was more entertaining to watch than Salvation was, because Salvation was just really dull and boring to sit through.
Yeah.
Whereas Genesis is doing all these crazy, crazy, stupid things. You're like, oh my god, can this get any more stupid?
Oh, that sounds great.
I mean, it's in the
worst
title.
possible way.
They don't even know how to spell Genesis. Like, the spelling of Genesis in the title is like
That's
this.
true. At least Salvation spelled its name right.
Yeah.
You gotta give it that.
I don't know.
I mean, this movie though, the Kitty Pryde, I like Kitty Pryde a lot. I hope Lockheed's in it because that would be cool.
I mean, I actually don't know what I'd want them to do with this, because I don't know if is this when she's a teacher and she's older? Is this when she's new and fresh?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Is this
How do you like? There's some X-Men where you can see the solo movie because they go off on solo adventures. Kitty, I always think of as just part of the team.
Yeah, she's kind of there. She's the one who, I mean, right now in one of the books, she's the leader of the team, and like,
Right.
and that makes sense because she grew up as a kid and she grew up and she sort of became this sort of the one of the core members of the team.
Isn't it weird how X-Men are like one of the only things in Marvel that kind of grew up? Do you know what I mean? Where a lot of them are very static in their ages, whereas the X-Men, they actually got older to a
Spider-Man
degree.
did, and then
Well, yeah.
then they jettisoned that, and
Yeah.
it pissed off a lot of people because they felt like all the development went away. And for the record, I still wish Spider-Man was married too, so I'm on that boat. But yeah, no, they kind of did. At least I think it's because they kept wanting to add more, so eventually they just wanted to age the characters up so they could be the teachers now, and then you had the new kids be the new young folk, and I think eventually though we're going to get to a point where technically the characters we started with should be like 80 because they've had so many new
probably. I think Kitty's particularly notable for it though because she came in when some of them were already a bit older.
Yeah, well, I mean it's quite early on though. I mean, hell, I don't know what issue was her first issue, but I mean I'm reading the Masterworks. I'm on volume 2 and I'm at like issue 108 or something like that. So that's only about 30 odd issues away from this issue. So she's not appeared yet. So
no. But this, I'm not saying she was not like early, but the others had already got a bit of experience by the time she showed up. So she always came off as a younger than the main group.
Oh, at the time she absolutely was, yeah. Especially the original
now that
6.
She's older as well. Yeah, exactly. So now that she's one of the older ones, it really makes it feel a bit generational.
Or 5. I said 6. I meant 5. But hey, so I don't know what we're gonna do with this. I always felt she got shafted in the previous movies. I mean, a lot of characters did, but her and Cyclops got really shafted.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, like, did they bring Ellen Page back? Did they go with a completely different direction?
I mean, I like Ellen Page a lot, and I think that she could be pretty good as Kitty given the right script.
Yeah.
So, and I think if they want to do an older, version of her as the teacher sort of one, then I think she's a really good choice for it.
Yeah, no. That makes sense. But I really don't know. I don't know where this is set in timeline. I don't know if it's connected to other movies. Is it going to be completely separate? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I really don't know.
And will it even happen? Because we've got this Disney thing. It depends how quickly they get this moving. that's entirely what dictates if this exists or not.
Pretty much.
That said, I'll take it way over a Gambit movie. Sorry, Channing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Channing. Alright, so going over to Sony and their Marvel projects. We got some writers for Silver and Black, which you may remember is the Silver Sable and Black Cat movie.
You say I might remember. I deduced it. I forgot it existed.
I know who Black Cat is. Well, I know who Silver Sable is now because I looked it up when this news of this movie first came up.
I'm vaguely familiar, but obviously I'm much more familiar with Black Cat.
Yeah, Spider-Man's knockoff Catwoman, her.
Exactly.
Oh, the angry Marvel fans in the comments. I'm just waiting. But so who do we have here? We have Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson Dworet, or Woret, if that D's silent. I'm not entirely sure. But they're going to be writing it. It's still got a release date of February 8th, 2019. So it's a year away.
And they're only just writing it.
They could just squeeze it in, but
They could.
I feel like probably not at this point.
Given everything else that they've pushed around, then, you know, why not?
But, so these names, okay, so what have they done? They've done stuff that we know. The fact is, they seem to have mostly written stuff that's not out yet. Right? So...
It's usually a sign of confidence, though, in their ability.
So Beer wrote the upcoming Lionsgate post-apocalyptic movie Chaos Walking, and also she's working on the Kingkiller Chronicles, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. That's in development,
yeah.
And was also one of the writers on Godzilla vs King Kong, which we know is coming up in a few years' time. So it's a big project.
People are happy with her work, with whatever scripts that's turned in.
And apparently she's also in the writers' room for Tarantino's Star Trek project. So I get, there's something else.
Yeah.
Notable words.
Yeah.
Put together, if nothing else. And then Robertson Dworet co-wrote the upcoming Tomb Raider movie, so that's really close. So we'll see that soon.
Yeah, we can judge that for ourselves next month.
And co-wrote, so I mean, even if it's terrible, it doesn't necessarily mean it's all on her.
Yeah. And
then she also wrote Captain Marvel, which is coming up.
Okay.
So this is a Marvel movie, of course.
It is. Yeah.
This is a sub-Marvel movie.
Yeah. It kind of counts.
Yeah, subcategory is what I meant. I wasn't necessarily meaning lesser than, even though it probably
Marvel movie.
Even though it probably will be lesser than, because Sonny.
I would just assume so.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Sonny will prove us wrong.
You mean like with that Venom teaser?
Hey, the movie could still end up being a riot. You don't know.
It could.
You don't know. It's probably going to suck. And honestly, Silver and Black, as much as I kind of joke about it, because I feel like who's wanting this movie? Like, I do actually think it's inherently a little bit more interesting than the Venom movie. I mean, if Venom was going to be a straight up horror movie like The Thing, then I'd be excited. But it doesn't feel like it is. Whereas, I mean, they can still prove me wrong. That trailer did not prove that right or wrong one way or the other. That trailer did give me nothing.
No.
But this pair, this kind of like a pair of anti-hero,
You say that, but like, what's the premise of this movie? What? Yeah, I mean, I know they're only just getting the writers, but they must have a general idea of what they want from this movie beyond the title.
It just kind of says who they are. The movie puts a spotlight on the mercenary criminal hunter Silver Sable and the burglar turned street hero Black Cat. That's all it says.
Right. Okay.
I'm assuming they're anti-heroes. I'm assuming they team up to take down someone. And honestly, I can see potential in that story. I can see them being kind of like, standoffish and then working together.
Do you know what'd be more fun? Just do a heist. Do a heist movie with them.
It could be a heist. I feel like, it's going to be like a buddy cop almost. Just except they're not cops.
Yeah, probably.
Fox loves the idea.
They're like, damn it, why don't we have those characters?
And if you don't watch your TV news, you don't get that joke. But, sorry. See, this is a connected podcast universe. You have to watch both to get all the jokes. There's also going to be a post-credit scene at the end where we tease the TV news. I'm kidding. For me to do that, I'd have to have already done the TV news, which I've not. So I can't tease shit.
I've seen a couple of things. I'll tease something.
Oh, you tease something. Oh, I can tease a trailer we're going to talk about. I remember a trailer that I saw this week. Alright, one last thing in the DC, the comic news. Although it is DC, it's more Vertigo than it is DC. So The Kitchen is a Vertigo comic book, and Melissa McCarthy's been, she's in talks to co-star in it. New Line Cinema's doing this. Not super familiar with The Kitchen. I'll give you the synopsis in a second. But casting her makes me think we're going for a comedy tone.
It does, yeah.
So the
and
Kitchen,
not a very good comedy tone either.
Yeah, The Kitchen is by Ollie Masters and Ming Doyle. That's the creators on the book. Writer-director Andrea Barloff and is going to direct it. And then actor Tiffany Haddish has already been cast in it. It follows three women in 1970s New York City who are each married to a member of the mafia. When their husbands are sent to prison, the wives step up and take over the family business. However, When they realise they actually enjoy the work, they face the question of what happens when their husbands are released. And there was a typo in that. I covered it, you didn't even know it was there. But it said, they face the question. So screw you, deadline. But yeah.
This doesn't sound like a comedy.
I can see it. I can see it in my head. The Melissa McCarthy comedy version of this, though.
I can, but in premise, it doesn't sound like it should be a comedy.
That movie that she was in like last year or 2 years ago, The Boss, where the poster was her sitting and she was like she looked like a crime boss, but she was
the spy sort of one.
No. She was like she basically it was like her niece or her granddaughter or something. Not granddaughter, she's not old, but like it was like her niece or something like that. Was a Girl Scout. And they were like selling their brownies and stuff, and it got really competitive. So she started to control them like a business and like taught them to be like little nasty people. And it was like she was running a racket, but it was just selling cookies.
Right. Okay.
But the poster for that, she was in like a sort of mafia business suit and a hat, and she was on like a throne. And all I can see reading this is that, and like, oh, that's what they're going to do with this. She's going to be like the goofy mafia boss, and
yeah, I have no interest in this.
Yeah, no, me neither. Not with her in it.
If you told me that premise, I'd have gone, okay.
Yeah, it could be something, but with her in it, I don't like Melissa McCarthy. So
no, not if it's going to be her brand comedy. I have no interest at all.
No, not at all. Okay, so we step into the general movie news, and we have to start off with some unfortunate news. The Predator has been pushed back once again. I am devastated, although it's only been 6 weeks, so it's not that bad. But still, I am devastated all the same, because it was already pushed back. It was originally meant to come out in like February, March time, so we were about to get it. Like originally, we were gearing up for the release right now, when we were imagining this time period about a year ago. Instead, it got pushed originally to August. It was the start of August. Now it's going to be mid-September. It's going to be September 14th. Which puts it up against Alpha, The Darkest Minds, and Fighting With My Family. I think it's going to be okay. No reason it was given for it, but they did just announce they're doing some reshoots right now, so that's probably why it's been pushed a month or so, just to give them a bit of... Which is insane. I mean, they reshot almost the entirety of Han Solo, and that kept its date, but I imagine Disney were just pouring money into that to make it go as fast as possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas with this, Fox are just like, you know what, it's fine.
We don't have that to spare.
Yeah, a month later, it's fine. Just do your thing, Shane. It's fine.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't care. I'll watch it, but I obviously, as we've been over before, I've not seen any of them, so I don't have any attachment.
By the time you get there, you'll have seen them all.
I mean, somewhat unfortunately, on some of them, I'm sure.
I'd just stay VP. I like all the original three. I like to varying degrees.
Okay.
But no. So I like Shane Black. I like Predator. So I'm excited for that movie. So it's a shame that it's moved 6 weeks. But hey, also moved by Fox though is Alita: Battle Angel, which is the Robert Rodriguez movie, and we already had the trailer. This was before we started the show, so we never talked about it.
A couple of months ago, yeah.
But she has the big creepy anime eyes, and it's this weird CG, and it's downright unsettling.
Only the eyes are unsettling.
Oh yeah,
but that looks fine.
Yeah, but that just means the face looks unsettling, and she's our main character, so it's kind of an issue.
It is. Maybe that's what this delay's for. It's like, right, we're undoing the eyes.
Yeah, they're working on the eyes.
People didn't like the eyes. Let's do something different.
People are vomiting watching the trailer at home. We have to fix the eyes. No one's going to pay to come and see this. Yeah, so that was making out.
Get another trailer, and it is that.
Maybe I will. They've pushed it because that was meant to come out on July 20th, so it was right in the middle of summer, and now it's been pushed back to December 21st, which is notable because it puts it up against Aquaman, Bumblebee, which is the Transformers spin-off, and Holmes and Watson. So that one's in a bit more trouble. That's got more competition in its new date.
Yeah, it really amuses me that as soon as Star Wars moves out of the December slot, everyone's scrambled to fill it.
Yeah. Almost too much, because it's funny, because I feel like I don't know which one's going to be the outright success between Aquaman and Bumblebee, but between the two of them, I feel like Elite is screwed.
Yeah, probably, unless it has a crazy good marketing.
Because Aquaman, it's kind of like, okay, it's the next big comic movie, but DC's kind of tarnished their brand, but, I mean, it could look really good, but it is Aquaman, and Aquaman carries a stigma to him.
But people did typically like Aquaman in Justice League.
Yeah, so there's all. So that's why I'm saying it's hard to gauge. It's hard to
It
gauge.
could go either way.
And Bumblebee's like, okay, Transformers have traditionally done well, but this last one didn't do as well. Do people want a Bumblebee movie? Even though it's probably the most appealing one because it's Haley Steinfeld and
also the fact that people might view this as a break from the main Transformers movies, so they might go, "Oh, this is a bit different, so we're more inherently interested in this than the last one."
Also, on that subject, apparently Hasbro, like they were talking about their Paramount slate this week, so they've got Bumblebee coming up. They're trying to reboot GI Joe and again, and they're doing I think Micro Machines. I think was the other one they want to do. But what was interesting?
Micro Machines, their own thing. I've only ever seen like Micro Machines of pre-existing franchises.
Yeah, no, Micro Machines is its own thing. I remember Micro Machines being around long before they were, saddled with whatever.
You'll get like, for example, like Star Wars Micro Machines, like Transformers Micro
Oh
Machines.
yeah, I remember the big play sets and stuff when I was a kid.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I missed that one clearly.
Maybe they'll do it with the Lego movie though, where they'll actually get some licenses in and bolster it with some actual things. But what was interesting though is there was no Transformers 6, which, whatever, not a big deal, I don't really care. But what was notable though is apparently, I never saw 5. 5's the only one I've not seen, because enough was enough. But apparently it ended on a cliffhanger. And it seems like they're actually wanting to reboot Transformers.
But we're having the Bumblebee movie anyway.
We're having the Bumblebee movie anyway. I guess it's going to be fairly standalone though, because it's set in the 80s, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, maybe that's fairly standalone. But everyone who wants the conclusion to their cliffhanger from Transformers 5 is going to be sorely disappointed.
What a shame.
Yeah. Hey ho.
I haven't seen past 2, but I'm going to watch Bumblebee.
I have learned not to be.
No. I'm putting my money on Bumblebee. It's got a cast I like. It's got a director I like.
Who's the director?
It's the person who did Kubo and the Two Strings.
Okay, I didn't see that, but okay, I've heard.
I love that movie. It's great.
I've heard things. I've heard things of interest. All right, let's move on to news that I did not expect to see this week or any week.
Running trend. We have one of those a week now. Feels like anyway.
Now, somehow I never get around to watching this when it came out. This short film called Kung Fury a few years ago.
I've not seen it.
I've not. I saw a couple of clips, and so I get the sort of tone that it's going for and stuff. Yeah. But for whatever reason, I just never get around to sitting down because it's like 25, 30 minutes long, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I just never got around because it wasn't short enough that I just put it on like a YouTube video. But so it was in that weird place where I just never sat down and watched it. I'll make a point of doing it now because we got news related to it. So there's going to be a movie. Going to be a Kung Fury movie, action comedy. David Sandberg is going to direct and produce it under his Laser Unicorns banner. David Hasselhoff is in talks to return because he was in the short.
Yes.
Cast in the lead. Right? Well, David Sandberg's in it as well, admittedly. But cast in the lead. Michael Fassbender in Kung Fury. And then later on in the week, as a separate news story, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the president of the US in Kung Fury. Fassbender, Hasselhoff, I can see the poster. I can see the poster right now. All these last names.
It sells itself, doesn't it?
Right. A sequel.
It's a sequel.
Yeah. It's because Sandberg's original short film. It's him. Did it. A sequel to the original short, Kung Fury, will shoot this summer. It is co-written by Sandberg and Tyler Burton Smith. The story is set in 1985, the best year ever. Miami is kept safe under the watchful eye of Kung Fury, the greatest damn cop of all time. This is the best description I've ever read. I'm going to say that right now. His Thunder Cops are the ultimate police force assembled from across history to defeat the villainous Kung Führer, Adolf Hitler. I'm letting that sink in. Kung Führer, Adolf Hitler.
Beautiful.
After the tragic death of one of their members causes the group to disband, a mysterious villain emerges from the shadows to aid the Führer's quest to attain the ultimate weapon. Kung Fury must travel through space and time to save his friends, defend the prestigious Miami Kung Fu Academy, and defeat evil once and for all.
Yeah. It sounds like Kung Fury. Which, I love that short film. I think it's a phenomenal one. For what it is, it's perfect. I don't know how this is going to hold up over a full-length movie. I don't know if it'll wear out its welcome a little, but by just being so intense in what it is.
That's because it was like 2014, 2015 this came out, the original short. I think Sandberg's been hard at work. Him and Tyler Burton-Smith have been in a basement somewhere, hacking away at the script, just making sure it works for like 100 minutes. Just like, oh, come on,
I am surprised there's a sequel, because most times when you have a short and then you get a movie, it's like, okay, let's just extend it. It's the same story.
I have no doubts that this will work for anyone who's not seen the original. Because it's a standalone movie, but I do like the idea that it's in continuity with the short. It's like, no, that did happen.
And also, it's free on YouTube, so anyone can watch it.
Oh, they can. But you have to imagine people get dragged to this who won't even put the effort in. Yeah. So obviously it's going to work for everyone.
We need to cover the short soon. You need to watch it.
I do need to watch it. That will happen. That will happen. I don't know how I'm reading this description. I'm like, why have I not watched this short?
I watched this day one when that came out. I remember, they did like the trailer, they did the hot stuff at the end, and I was like, I'm watching this.
Kung Fury, the movie,
coming soon.
With that cast, Jesus. All right. Next up is a very short story. There's not a whole lot to it, but Amazon. Oh, sorry, not Amazon. Activision Blizzard Studios, the film division of Activision Blizzard, is ramping up development on its Call of Duty series. Sorry, I've got a space there making me think that's a separate story, and I'm like, really?
I'm wondering why you're really struggling with it.
Where the hell's the rest of it? I'm just trying to think of where the rest of the story is. Don't worry, it's all there. Stefano Sollima, who's directing Sicario 2, is the one they've got in line for it. They're looking for him.
Okay.
The film doesn't have a distributor. The only thing they've really said about it is that they want it to be a cinematic universe that could rival Marvel or DC.
Okay.
Because I don't know, just make one good film first and then start trying to blow it up.
There are ways I can defend this, which potentially, which I'll get into in a minute when you tell me the rest.
One of the quotes from one of the execs is, putting together a universe that will draw on the feel of the different incarnations of the game rather than bringing over existing plots. With that said, it is unknown what era this game would focus on, though it is likely to stay in present day.
You mean film? What era this film would focus on?
That's not my fault, that's their fault. They wrote game.
Yeah. I mean, I get the habit of writing game next to Call of Duty, but...
Yeah. I'll go on, So
the way I can defend it being a shared universe is often in the game... I don't know if you've ever played a Call of Duty campaign.
No.
Often you have a bunch of different squads, so you'll jump around characters between like 3 or 4 different teams of people. So it would be really easy to go, okay, no, this is a movie from this squad's point of view on this event, and then the next one you go, they'll be in contact with the other squads, but then the next movie can be that squad doing the follow-up. Which would be, I can see it.
I felt you just have it cutting between the two of them in the same movie.
You could, yeah. But I mean, in the sense of just, if you don't want to do a direct sequel, you can just do, we'll take one of those squads and it'll be a shared universe.
I think ultimately I'd start getting sick of the fact that it was all kind of revolving around the same event. If it's just a different squad, different viewpoint on the same...
not necessarily the same event, but like the next step, because like a lot of the campaign, like if you take the Modern Warfare campaigns, the trilogy, you'll be with like one character for the first one, mostly. You'll jump around a bit, but then the next game might focus more on someone else and the next part of the story in a different squad.
I'm getting vibes of Dark Universe from this.
Yeah.
Putting the big shared universe idea before they even make a movie.
I'll be honest, I'm not interested. I don't really like war movies, so I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't particularly like war movies. I don't like Call of Duty.
I do in general. So. I don't like all of them, but as a game, I think they're pretty good. They've had some good stories in the past, not in a while.
Yeah, it's not particularly for me. So, moving on. Here's something else that came out of nowhere this week. So, Warner Bros. Want to reboot Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka and his Marvelous Chocolate Factory, and the director of the 2 Paddington films hired to do it. So he's going to come on and do it. There's not a whole lot else to say about it. Simon Rich wrote the new script, and it's being produced by David Heyman, who produced the Paddington movies as well as some of the Harry Potter movies, or maybe all the Harry Potter movies. Isn't really quite specified.
I think all of them.
I think the fact that they're getting the Paddington guy tells you what the tone is probably going to be.
Yeah.
More in line with the original film and less in line with that weird, creepy Tim Burton thing that we got. I never even saw
Tim Burton thing.
I saw the trailer. That was enough.
Oh, I've seen it. It's not very good.
Well, there you go. I don't particularly care about a new Willy Wonka movie existing. I mean, I respect the first film. I don't necessarily go back and watch it because I'm not a big musical guy.
Yeah, no. I don't love that first one. I like it well enough, but I like the book a lot. I read that a lot as a kid. This is one of those shows where it's timeless. I get why. Okay, we'll remake it for a new group of children, because I think children especially often will notice when something's different to what they're used to seeing at the minute. So they'll go, "Oh, this looks old." Oh,
we need to have the kids with smartphones in the movie.
I'm not saying they have to have smartphones. I'm just saying, just on a visual point, you'll look at it and they'll go, "This doesn't look like the movies they're used to seeing." So I get it. I just update it for a new group, new audience. Very kid friendly by the sounds of it. With the Paddington director, that tone is very much aimed at that.
And the first Paddington, I've not seen the second one, but the first one was pretty solid. So I can't fault the
second one got even better reviews. So
yeah, somehow they topped the movie that already got like silly good reviews in the first place.
Yeah.
So let's move on. So Chad Stileski, who's the director of the John Wick movies, is basically he's not been hired quite yet, but he's in talks to bring together an adaptation of a book series called Sandman Slim. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Sandman Slim. It's a series of 9 books. It's a fantasy series. The story centers on James Sandman Slim Stark, a fast-talking, hard-boiled supernatural vigilante who escapes from hell to avenge his girlfriend's murder and hunt down the magicians responsible for getting him sent downtown. So we also have a writer, Kerry Williamson, who wrote What Happened to Monday, which was the Netflix original film that came out last year, which is on my to-watch list. Not got around to it yet. But, so I'll be honest, I hear nine book fantasy series, I kind of roll my eyes and go, oh, it's going to be another one of these fantasy series where there's a chosen one and she's going to travel the fantasy landscape and then save the world with her ragtag group of different races and all the rest of it. But then I hear hard-boiled supernatural vigilante, and I'm like, okay, you got me listening.
Even though that stuff you're describing, going, I'm going, yeah, give it me, sign me up.
But it ain't that. But it sounds
not.
It sounds more like a sort of a bit of The Crow, bit of Spawn, with its own little twist on it.
Oh, I'm down.
Like a detective-y version of The Crow, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, no, it sounds pretty good.
I don't know how that stretches to 9 books. I assume there's some sort of big villain he ends up having to face off against.
That, or alternatively, it's just a series of cases.
Oh, it could be, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that after, like, he'll go after revenge for his girlfriend's murder, but then that'll maybe spin into whatever the big grand plot's going to be for the whole thing. That'd be my guess.
Possibly, yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't sound too bad though. I think that's an interesting director for it as well, actually.
Yeah.
Because you give me that director and I think, oh, so the action is going to be interesting. Like, the action is going to be exciting potentially, which is not something I typically assume for like a fantasy series. I always
depends what sort of fantasy we're looking at, yeah.
Because I almost expect, and again, this is different because it's a hard-boiled vigilante, but like, and I'm not necessarily saying that a lot of them do this, or all of them do this, but I sometimes think that fantasy kind of like lets the action not be as spectacular in a traditional sense because it can rest in the fact that it's action with weirder elements. Like, oh, you got elves and orcs and stuff, so we don't necessarily have to choreograph a good fight. It can just be, blast of the magic and.
Yeah, I get you. I feel like there's a lot of fun, especially with like the sword play, can be really good.
So sword play is something that takes a lot to impress me. I feel like If you give me a standard sword fight, I'll just be kind of bored.
Really? Okay.
It's why the best lightsaber fight in Star Wars is the end of Return of the Jedi, because there's emotion in it.
It's up there.
There's
It's not my favourite, but it's up there.
Any time where they're just sort of like duking and they're flipping around and shit, I'm just bored.
Fair enough.
So, but hey. So no, the action should be pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. And that's maybe that'll be its unique thing. That'll be like, okay, it's a fantasy thing. It's. I mean, you compared it to two things already, so maybe it'll be like this is the draw to it specifically is the action.
So Sandman Slim is the title of that. So next up, Jake Gyllenhaal, Ansel Elgort, and Zendaya have all been cast in a film called Finest Kind. It is a crime thriller written and directed by Oscar winner Brian Hedgeland, who was involved with the LA Confidential. It follows two brothers, played by Gyllenhaal and Elgort, who strike a dangerous deal with a crime syndicate that draws them into the Boston underworld. Not a lot to go on, but there's a lot of notable names that I recognise from various things. There is. Obviously, if you don't know who Elgort is, he was in Baby Driver this past year. And Zendaya was in Spider-Man, and she's currently in The Greatest Showman as well.
Okay. I mean, there's a strong cast, obviously, but the movie premise itself doesn't interest me. It's not really my sort of thing, I don't think.
There's not a lot to go on. I mean, it's the direction and execution, I think.
There is, but I think in general, those have to go above and beyond for me.
Alright, next up, Paul Dano's directorial debut, Wildlife, which actually premiered at Sundance Film Festival last month. IFC's bought it for the North American rights. Carey Mulligan and Jake Gyllenhaal. There's Gyllenhaal's name again. Look at that. Both star in the film. Dano and Zoe Kazan adapted the book by Richard Ford. The plot centres on 14-year-old Joe, the only child of Jeanette and Jerry, a housewife and a golf pro, in small-town 1960s Montana. Nearby, uncontrolled forest fires rage close to the Canadian border, and when Jerry loses his job and his sense of purpose, he decides to join the cause of fighting the fire, leaving his wife and son to fend for themselves. Suddenly forced into the role of an adult, Joe witnesses his mother struggle as she tries to keep her head above water. And I believe this is one they're maybe trying to put out for Oscar or award consideration later in the year.
Sounds about right.
I like the idea of Jake Gyllenhaal as a golf pro. I don't know why. I can see him with the glove on and just the outfit.
I can see it. Yeah,
and
he definitely golfs at the weekends.
I feel like he does, but he golfs like Adam Sandler from Happy Gilmore, not like you're supposed to golf. He's got that crazy edge to it.
Okay. I don't know. I could see him snapping into being a very serious golfer.
Here's my thing with this. Obviously, it's an interesting cast. It sounds like a sort of potentially solid drama, just depending on execution. Obviously, Paul Dano, we know as an actor. This is his debut as a director. I'm really curious to see how he is in that role. Because sometimes you find that, especially with dramas, they're quite good when it's an actor turned director, because they're used to, they know how to talk to an actor, because they are an actor.
Exactly, and that's often what carries those sorts of movies, is the performances.
Yeah. But who knows, maybe he'll end up being a good director in terms of the camera as well, and see what he does. But
we'll find out soon enough.
Next up, so we have the Marsh King's daughter. Alicia Vikander's been cast in it, and it's Morton Tildum who's directing it. It is a dramatic thriller, and it is based on a book that just came out last summer by Karen Dion. So Vikander will play Helena Petarier. I have no idea how to say that word. Petarier. Yeah, go with that. It's a weird word, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so on the surface, she leads an ideal life with a great husband and a young daughter. She keeps her secret shocking backstory. Her mother was kidnapped as a teen, and she was the product of the relationship between captive and tormentor. She lives for 12 years in a life carefully controlled by her kidnapper/father, until he was caught and sent to prison. An escape that leaves 2 prison guards dead forces her to confront her secret history, and she becomes determined to bring down her father, who gave her all the tools she will need. He is the one called the Marsh King. So I think that's like what the newspapers called him for, you know, I assume it'll make sense when you watch the movie. Maybe he kept him on like a cabin in the marshes or something, I don't know. The man who kept a woman and a young daughter captive in the wilderness for years. Sensing the danger this monster poses for her husband and her young daughter, she vows to hunt him down. So, as I read this the first time, all I could think was, so, swap out the gender of the kid from Room, and the guy gets caught and escapes later on. This is him as an adult, like, hunting him down for revenge and fighting back.
It's a sequel.
It's like an unofficial sequel to Room in a weird way. Honestly, it's funny because I read the title and for some reason I just assumed it was going to be some period piece about some landowner and like his daughter.
I get that. I feel like Alicia Vikander just fits in that period piece role.
She does, and I was thinking, oh, she's going to be in like big frilly dresses, and it's going to be this drama about romance. And then I read the description, I'm like, oh, you know what, this actually sounds kind of good.
Do you know what? I don't even know how much of that she's actually done, but I can just see her in that role, like as being like constantly.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. I actually like as I was reading it, and I'm like, oh, okay, right, so this dark past, that's interesting, and I'm like, okay, it sounds a little bit like Room, but when it got to the part where no, now he's out and he might be coming for her, and she has to like fight back. Then I'm like, okay, so this is more. Okay, this is as it says at the start. This is more of a thriller, and I'm like, okay, I can see how this might actually be quite exciting. And I like Vikander.
Sounds all right. I do too.
So you know,
what's not to like?
Well, that takes us on to half time, and you know what happens at half time? We have trailers. And it's a guess of half time, obviously, if you actually look at the length right now and you look at, well, this is in the video, it's probably not exactly halfway.
I don't think it ever has been.
Oh, technically speaking, it should be the middle of trailers, it's exactly halfway. No, it will be. I'm not promising that.
One day. One day it'll line up.
But yeah, so we actually have less trailers than usual this week, which is fine, because we're trying to keep the show length down a bit. Although, we're already at 50 plus minutes, so clearly it's not going that well. But anyway, so the first trailer. Oh, actually, before we get to the trailers we're going to talk about, I do want to mention, yeah, there was a new Rampage trailer this week. However, it was basically just all the same stuff from the past trailer, but with some extra bits added in. I didn't feel like it was worth talking about, especially since Connor's going to refuse to watch it anyway. I had nothing else to add about it, so you know, it's there.
It's one of those where I feel like if you're not going to see it after the last couple of trailers, there's probably not much left that's going to change your mind.
Nah, that's true. So. First up, we'll start with a big heavy hitter, in the sense that this was the first real trailer we've had for this, and that is Incredibles 2.
Finally.
Which Connor believes is the best superhero movie ever made. Thinks it's the best Brad Bird movie ever made. He's wrong on both counts. It's very good. I love Incredibles. Do not get me wrong. But Iron Giant is the better Brad Bird movie.
No. This covers best animated movie, best superhero movie, best Brad Bird movie. Covers all three of those.
No. Dark Knight, Iron Giant. Iron Giant may be the best animated movie as well, actually. I was just saying that for Brad Bird, but now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. That may actually be best animated as well. There's some arguments to be made for a few others, of course, but it may be my favourite. Anyway, so Incredibles 2. So we got a trailer here, and it kind of revealed that some of the focus of this film is that Elastigirl is wanted to go out and be a superhero, and that means Mr. Incredible has to stay home and be a stay-at-home dad and look after the kids. And it appears the baby is getting some teleportation powers.
Yeah, well, we knew we would had a whole bunch of powers based off the end of the last movie.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I do not remember that.
Oh, that movie ends. Spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, spoilers for the first Incredibles.
With the villain coming and kidnapping the baby, and the baby just flicking through like a bunch of different powers. Like, he goes on fire, he turns to like metal, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I remember the plot with the villain. I remember all that, and the kids finding out about their parents and all the rest of it. But I'd forgotten that detail. But hey, so he's dealing with the baby, and the teens are there, of course. It looked like a little more Incredibles. It's kind of weird how it's been like, when did that come out? 2004?
something like that.
14 years, and it just kind of feels like this was like a year later.
It feels like it hasn't skipped a beat.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people were worried when we were told it was picking up right after, because the opening of this trailer where he's going against the Underminer, that's like the end of that, like almost the post credits tag sort of thing of that movie, where it's like, okay, the family's got to suit up and take out a villain sort of thing. So it's literally picking up where it left off.
Well, that's nice, because it means we can pick up the next day in their lives in about 14 years when we're all in our 40s.
Yeah, but a lot of people were worried because they were like, yeah, okay, should it not have done a time jump and we explore something new? But honestly, this trailer is like, no, that makes a solid case for just sticking where it was.
I can see both sides of it, and the one hand, it's like, well, so much time has passed, like, because that's part of why Toy Story 3 is such a good movie, is because it acknowledged that we've all grown up with Andy, and
Yes.
when Toy Story 1 came out, I was 6 years old. When Toy Story 3 came out, I was 21, and they kind of like mirrored that change in the movie with Andy.
Yeah.
Where he was 5, and then he's college age at the end. So, that can work really well.
I do understand that. I think The Incredibles doesn't need to do that because it already has the adults. It already has teenagers, and kids. So it's already kind of. So it doesn't need to have them age up to have the different experiences.
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't. But it's just part of you still kind of wonders. Okay, but what if we had, the teenagers now as adults, and we had the parents as sort of grandparents aged? And
Yeah. No, it could have been interesting. But I think it'll be interesting to see people who maybe did relate to, say, Violet before, will now look at the parents and go, "Oh, I see myself more in that."
Yeah, probably. No, that's good. That's fine. Like, honestly, I don't have any sort of big hot takes to have on this. It just looks like Incredibles. And...
No, exactly. It looks like Incredibles, and to me, that's the best thing it could have been. So I'm very, very happy with that.
Arguably, this is probably the most interested I've been in a Pixar movie now in about 6-7 years, something like that.
Shame on you. Coco was excellent.
I'll see it eventually, but yeah, nothing about it was exciting.
Everything about it is exciting.
I saw it the next like 3 or 4 movies after Toy Story 3, and they just kept getting more and more disappointing. So I just kind of, and they weren't terrible. It wasn't that they were terrible. And Brave wasn't a terrible movie. Monsters University wasn't a terrible movie. They were all fine. They were all fine movies. But
I stand by. Pixar has only ever had one bad movie. Cars 2.
Sure.
It's just a bad movie.
I'd say they were bad. I just, it wasn't quite the spark that was there before. That's all.
Fair enough.
But hey, next up we got another trailer for Ready Player One. This one actually, was a proper movie trailer, and by that I mean it actually gave us a fragment of what the plot might actually be, because all the previous ones didn't. They were just kind of like, here, references to things.
Yeah, I obviously didn't watch it because it was trailer number 3.
Of course you didn't.
Fun note though. This one I have a slightly different reason for not watching. In the past week, I read the book.
You know everything. You're good.
And yeah, so I was like, I know what I'm getting. I don't need to watch this now. I really don't.
Yeah, so you see that at one point in the trailer, they've got him like jacked into the Oasis, but he's in the back of a van as they're trying to so they're obviously trying to stop the bad guys from taking over control of the Oasis and everything else. All that stuff's going on. I don't have a whole lot of new things to add. There's more Iron Giant, which is cool, because I like Iron Giant. But that is my big worry with this movie. My big worry is that the actual plot's going to feel very thin, and it's all going to rely on, pop culture references of things you like. That is my main worry with this movie.
I will say, having read the book, a lot of that book is about how those things affect people. Like how the nostalgia makes them feel, rather than just being nostalgic. And so...
But will that translate?
That's the thing I don't know, because I admit that first trailer just like, here's 50,000 things you see that that's it. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, I'll be impressed. I'll be impressed if it does go above and beyond just being here. Things you recognise, give us likes and thumbs up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But it did give me a bit more sense of plot at the very least. I will say, I feel like, much like some other films that have got a lot of CG, and obviously it's not meant to look realistic because it's inside the virtual world, but it's got this very kind of 3D CG kind of
sheen
look to it, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, rather than just make it look like a video game, they went above and beyond. They made it look more like it was like, I don't know, like Pixar made it or something like that. You know, it's got that kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly like Pixar. I'm not saying it looks exactly like a Pixar movie, but just it doesn't just look like a video game. It looks like something else. It looks like almost like Alita from Alita Battle Angel. Not with the same creepy eyes necessarily, but it's got that weird thing where it's high tech enough that it's beyond what a video game would actually have. But that almost might, I think, grow old by the end of the movie a little bit. It reminds me of like and again, this is a little bit different because they were supposed to be real and they just look shit. But you know, kind of like the orcs in the Hobbit movies or something like that. They have that kind of fake look to them. And I know it's supposed to be fake because it's the Oasis, right? But it doesn't. But it doesn't look fake enough for that. If that makes any sense.
I get that. I guess the argument is just the tech advanced and video games got to that point. You
can argue that all you want. It doesn't mean change the fact that it looks... I'll be tired of it by the end of the movie, where I'm just going to be like, because it's reminding me of those things. Because this one, it had more shots of like little emotional moments where it was like, you know, the CG characters like kind of like having a moment, and I'm like, this looks like an animated movie now.
So, yeah, I get you.
So yeah, I'm cautious with Ready Player One. I am not on the hype train at all. I'm kind of... I hope it's good. I hope Spielberg has made a movie that I really like because it's been a while, but I'm not super into it right now. We also got a trailer, the first full trailer for A Quiet Place. We had a teaser before.
Yeah.
This was the full trailer. Admittedly, I don't know if I needed any more. Honestly, the teaser was enough to kind of sell me on it.
I'll be honest, I never saw the teaser. It passed me by.
Because it got the premise across. We're in a world where there's monsters that are going to come and kill you if they hear a sound, so you have to be quiet. You know, the teaser got that across, and I was like, okay, I'm in. This gave us a bit more sense of it, because I don't think the first teaser ever really gave us a sense that they were travelling, the family. Whereas this one, they're travelling. Emily Blunt's pregnant. Like, there's these things going on beyond just there's monsters. So they're moving somewhere. And they have to be quiet. I'm really looking forward to this. I think it'll be a very unique experience in the theatre because it is so quiet until there's... And that's the thing, it's so quiet that in the trailer when the kid's like toy plane starts making the little noise, it feels like, oh god, noise.
This is one of those rare movies where I hope there is like no music. Or virtually none, except when things are already going down. So play with your silence, especially in this. I will say I think the trailer gave away too much, showed me too many things. When it's flicking through bits, there's a shot of, oh hey, there's fireworks going off, clearly a distraction. It's like, yeah, I didn't really need to see things like that in the trailer.
No, that's fair. As long as it was pretty effective though in selling me what the premise of the movie is.
Oh, definitely. I just think it was a bit too far with what it showed me.
But I'm no less excited for the film.
No, it looks very good.
One of my more anticipated of the year, and we'll see how Krasinski does as a director.
Yeah, it's a very interesting family affair, isn't it?
Yeah, husband and wife in the movie together, and him directing.
and it's all about a family, children, childbirth.
Yeah,
could be potentially very personal.
Yeah, could be. I'm looking forward to dissecting that one when it comes out. But no, Quiet Place looks great. Next up, we had a trailer for The Breaker Uppers, which is a New Zealand comedy produced by Taika Waititi, of course, from Thor Ragnarok and What We Do in the Shadows. It's about a pair of ladies who basically offer their services as kind of breakup cops, where they will go and tell someone you're breaking up with them, so you don't have to do it yourself. But the plot of the movie is that one of them kind of falls for the guy that they're telling has been broken up, and even though he's like 18 and she's like in her late 30s, they kind of have a fling, and comedy ensues. I don't know how I feel about this. It looks kind of like...
I quite liked the first half of the trailer. I really liked the tone. And then when it was actually them, in cop uniforms doing stuff, it lost me a bit.
I think this is a really weird thing to say, but like at first I was into it because of the accents. There's something really funny about the New Zealand accent. It's perfect for comedy. It's just got this very kind of... Because you know how New Zealand and Australian accents have this thing where they always sound like a question, because it always goes up at the end.
Yeah.
The inflection always goes up. It just really works for comedy, and it makes me think of like What We Do in the Shadows, because that's now like the first thing I think of when it comes to New Zealand accents. So I was on board for a little bit, but as it went on, I wasn't really feeling the jokes that much. I don't even remember most of the jokes, if I'm honest. They've all kind of just left my head.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Nothing was particularly memorable. It doesn't look bad though. It looks like it might be a decent watch.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I was feeling it at first, and as it went on, it kind of just wore out on me.
It could just be a case of they've had to chop everything up for the trailer. Maybe the timing will make all the jokes way funnier in the movie.
Hopefully.
Very possible. So, but this is New Zealand comedy, so maybe worth having a look at the trailer. Next up, we had the trailer for 10 by 10, which is a thriller with Luke Evans, who kidnaps a woman, puts her in a 10 by 10 padded room, and this. You said the Quiet Place trailer gave too much away. This trailer basically spells out, oh, it's not just some sick stalker, he's actually wanting revenge for something she already did. She doesn't know him personally, but she did something to upset him, clearly. Yeah. This is a vengeance story. And you see lots of shots of her out the room, like fighting back and stuff. It's like, okay, right, so here's the whole movie.
It's a very generic trailer. The movie might be alright, don't get me wrong. It looks like it could be a decent enough thriller. But it's a poor trailer.
It's a very poor trailer. I'm not super excited. Luke Evans doesn't exactly excite me, to be honest. He's kind of...
I like him well enough. I think he's pretty good, but he's not a draw.
He's kind of... Him and Orlando Bloom, I kind of like see... You know how you said a Vikander you always see in the period pieces? Luke Evans and Orlando Bloom, I see in period pieces and nothing else in my head.
Okay, no, I get what you're saying.
And any time they try, it just doesn't feel right.
No. I like him, but again, it's not something that's, this is, there's some people who, they're in this. That'll get me excited.
He's not that.
He's not that, but he's like, yeah, he's good enough.
The woman he kidnapped, I'm not super familiar with, but she was in True Detective Season 2.
Okay, I was going to say...
Because I knew her face from that, so I recognised her face, but that was about it.
I checked out on that pretty quickly, so...
So yeah, wasn't feeling 10 by 10. Next up, we had a trailer for a movie called Uncle Drew, which is a basketball comedy about a bunch of geriatrics coming back out of retirement to win a street basketball game. Except all of the people that are old and playing basketball are all younger people in really, really bad, like fake beards and hair to make them look old, and it is atrocious looking.
Yeah, I'm not watching this. You couldn't pay me to watch this.
Oh, I sense a goal coming for Patreon. Don't say that, Connor, because they'll just start naming prices and be like, well, we have to do it at that price. Like, Shaquille O'Neal's in it.
Oh yeah, that's something to get me excited.
Honestly, the only time I mildly got amused in the trailer at all was when the other dude said he was like Wolverine's grandfather or something like that.
Yeah, because of the hair,
the mutton chops.
Yeah.
It looks atrocious. This was the bottom of the barrel comedy.
No.
You've got this. I mean, the first old guy is just this really. He's not old, but he's got this fake white beard and and he's still doing basketball. He's still playing basketball like anyone in their prime. Like, he's still dunking the ball and stuff. And I'm like, I don't care what you tell me. This is not an old man.
Yeah.
At least if they made the makeup look good, so that it at least looked old, it would have been like, okay, I see what they're doing here. This could be like a funny, like, oh, these old guys are still really good at this. But it looks terrible.
It really does look so bad. Please don't watch this movie.
Yeah, it looks absolute garbage. Next up, we had a trailer for the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
Mouthful.
I did not know. It's a mouthful. I imagine potato peel pie would also be a mouthful. I had no idea what this was going to be when I clicked on it. I saw that title and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's kind of like, because sometimes I'll see trailers, links for trailers, and I want sometimes like I'll click on it and it'll be like a documentary. So okay, so we're not going to talk about that, because like 10 by 10, I almost thought that was going to be like a carpentry thing. I'm like clicking on it, I'm like, oh, hey, he had to build that room, So there's
that's not inaccurate.
Yeah. So I click on this and I'm like, I have no idea what this is going to be. It's based on a book, and it's basically a story of this journalist who goes to Guernsey and kind of interviews everyone just after the Second World War, because the Nazis occupied this little island off the coast of, off one of the British Isles, and she's interviewing them and they're telling their horror stories of being occupied, and it's like a quirky drama comedy with a bit of historical side to it.
But yeah.
I wasn't feeling this at all.
No, I like Lily James a lot.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, and she definitely does a lot of period piece.
Oh, she does. She has period piece written all over her.
She does. She's very good at it, though, to be fair. But that is her in a nutshell. But yeah, no, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling this. It had that sentimental sort of whimsical tone about it that I'm just not that into.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like it looks fine. It seems weird to be coming out this time of year. It's coming out like April. This feels like this should be a November December release for Oscar bait.
Yeah, I just nothing about it appealed to me. It's just not my type of movie at all.
Yeah.
And then last up in the trailers, apparently we can't go a week without a Netflix original movie trailer because they're pumping them out these days. But coming up next month on Netflix, we have a movie called Benji, which is a dog movie.
Yeah. Apparently Benji is a thing already.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I wasn't familiar, but I happened to glance at the Netflix description, and it says everyone's favorite pawsome hero is coming home to Netflix. And then there are comments, saying how they used to watch Benji before when they were a kid.
This is news to me. I've never heard of Benji.
I haven't either, but apparently it's a thing.
Oh well, they bring the dog home and they hide him from their mother, and then he helps solving crimes or something. I don't know. I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention. Some people try and kidnap the dog. The dog's like helping the police or something. At one point, the police are chasing the dog, and they're putting out descriptions of a dog and all sorts of shenanigans.
Yeah, it's a kids movie.
Yeah, it looks like a fine kids movie. I have no interest in watching it, but I'm sure for the 5-year-olds, this will be a hit. This will be a hoot.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Benji is a 5-film series that started in '74 and ran till 2004.
What can I say? I was a Beethoven kid. I watched Beethoven.
Yeah, I have literally no idea what this is. I'm like, okay, there's
Beethoven and Beethoven's Second.
I'll be honest, I was waiting for the dog to talk at some point, and it just never happened.
I never quite did. He did, however, with his superhuman strength, super dog strength, push a dumpster so that he could climb up onto the fire escape.
All dogs can do that, don't you know?
Oh, a big giant metal dumpster.
Yeah, they're not as heavy as they look.
Is that right? Is that right? So yeah, no. I saw Homeward Bound 1 and 2 as a kid. I saw Beethoven and Beethoven's Second. I never saw the direct-to-video sequels, Beethoven's Third, Fourth, or Fifth. And then you get the joke. Why the second, third, and fourth, and not just two? Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I'm not gonna lie. It's
a dog movie for you because it's dog plus classical music.
I'm not gonna lie. I do appreciate the musical reference in the titles.
Yeah. That's why they had to go to fifth. They had to get to Beethoven's Fifth.
I do. It's his most famous.
Yeah. So that's why there had to be a fifth direct-to-video sequel or fourth sequel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fifth movie.
Fifth movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to get to that, even though none of the kids watching it are going to give a shit or understand the reference, but they just had to get there.
Yeah. It's a shame because my favourite's his ninth. So.
Oh, so sorry. I didn't get to Friday the 13th levels of sequels for you.
Ah, good.
Do you know what? Actually, I want to give Friday the 13th some credit here. Friday the 13th had 12.
How are we on to this?
Had 12 movies, and it's never been direct to video. Every single one in theaters. I think that's quite notable.
It is actually, especially for a horror franchise, where I feel like it's really easy for them to go. Nah, we'll go video.
The three heavy hitters, Freddy, Jason, and Michael, all of them have always been in theaters. Whereas, Hellraiser's had like 2 movies in theaters, and it was all direct to video after that.
Yeah.
Same with Children of the Corn, same with Take Your Pick, like most of them.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So yeah, this is worth mentioning, I guess.
So it'd be interesting to see when like Insidious switches to direct to video.
Honestly, I think Insidious could do quite well. I mean, not direct to video, but now it's direct to VOD. But same difference.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna change my phrasing just yet, even though it is that. But everyone knows what I mean.
DTVOD. That's the new acronym.
That's it. I don't like the fact that I have to type almost twice as much.
I think that's why it'll just stay direct to video because you just assume that on demand's at the end of it. You don't have to
Exactly. It
like,
doesn't really matter. It just means it's not in cinemas. You watch it at home.
Yeah, it's just Anyway, that's the trailers. So I guess we pick our favorite trailer of the week. So I mean, yeah, it's easy for me. Quiet Place wins.
That's fair. I'm going with Incredibles 2.
Oh, what a surprise!
I know. Quite a lot. Quiet Place gave away slightly too much, more than just a little bit more than I wanted. But it does look very good as a film.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Short and sweet trailer section this week. So back onto the regular news. First up, or well, I'll say first. Next up, first of this section. So The Highwaymen is a movie that is in the works. A Netflix original movie, and we got Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson are going to be playing the two main characters, Texas Ranger Frank Hamer and his ex-partner Maney Galt. So this is actually kind of interesting. This movie's been in the works for so long that it predates the existence of Netflix. Right? And it originally was
Netflix in total, or just Netflix as the on-demand service?
Total.
Oh, okay.
And it was originally going to star Paul Newman and Robert Redford.
Okay, that tells me a lot about how long this has been in it.
Yeah. And then Paul Newman got ill. So maybe that was still after Netflix existed in terms of DVDs, but I'm not sure.
Maybe.
This is maybe close. But yeah, so this is actually kind of a... You're familiar with Bonnie and Clyde, the story of Bonnie and Clyde. So The Highwaymen is basically the story of the people hunting Bonnie and Clyde. So it's not going to match up the Bonnie and Clyde movie exactly. They're saying that some of the details will be different because obviously that was an interpretation in and of itself at the time. Yeah. But you can kind of see this as a companion movie almost, and it's just in the broad sense of it's the other side of it. The lawmen were out of the Rangers by the time Bonnie and Clyde started their own robbery reign, but were commissioned as special investigators, coaxed by a consortium of banks to assemble a posse and end the spree of the notorious gang reputed to have killed 13 cops and others. So the details are going to be different from the 1967 film Bonnie and Clyde, which starred Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. It's a pretty good movie, if you've not seen it.
I never saw it, but it seems like I should enjoy it.
So yeah, it takes Highwaymen takes the advantage point of the formidable posse headed by Hamer, the old-style Texas Ranger who survived 100 gunfights and killed 53 people. Seems like an odd thing to be boasting about, but that's the... So yeah, sounds like all the banks kind of like put in a whip round to hire some lawmen to like hunt these people down because they were sick of being robbed. Pretty
much.
But
hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Hey, Costner and Harrelson's an interesting pair. I'm not against this.
I like both of those.
Yeah, Highwaymen.
Yeah, so, sounds alright.
Could be a thing. It's a manhunt movie. And
Netflix.
And Netflix, yeah. So you'll get it. Well, most people actually don't have Netflix, which I mean, I don't imagine there's that many of you at this point.
That's the thing. Who doesn't? It always surprises me when Netflix say that the forecast for the next quarter is to get this many new people. I'm like, every time, like, there's not this many people left on Earth without it.
No, it's all the people leaving home, so they have to get their own accounts. That's what it is.
It is, but I mean, a lot of that typically happens once a year. You'll get it at the start of the university season.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I'm not saying everyone leaves home at that point, but I mean that's got to be the biggest influence. Right?
Other countries maybe who just get it for the first time. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Pick a random country.
No, that's true.
And that country just got it, so that's another 300,000 people overnight.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's just shocking that I'm like, how are there still people without it?
All right, next up, we have a sequel in the works to Den of Thieves, which is currently in theaters. Apparently, it's done well enough to get a sequel going. The entire cast and the director are apparently all in talks to come back. Den of Thieves 2, which will also be directed by the same director, will find Big Nick, who's played by Jared Butler, on the hunt in the streets of Europe, closing in on Donnie, who is embroiled in the dangerous world of diamond thieves and the infamous Panther Mafia. It was because Mafia was next. I was struggling doing the Panther and Mafia back to back. Panther Mafia.
Doesn't sound that difficult. I'm not going to try it just in case, but
Say it 3 times, really fast.
I'm good.
Panther Mafia. Alright.
Panther Mafia. There we go.
It's for you.
I'm going to look smug for that.
And they plot a massive heist, so they're ready to stop it. Yes, who cares?
Yeah,
I
don't give a shit.
I had no interest in the first one, but it was big enough to mention. And then I get to do this. Speaking of Gerard Butler, he's going to be another film directed by Jean Byung-gil. It's called Afterburn, and it's going to start production in summer. And who is Jean Byung-gil, you might ask? I am
asking.
He directed a film last year that came from a presumably native South Korea called The Villainess. Which
okay.
we shall not speak of, but there may be a review of that coming from the channel at some point in the next few weeks. So
there may indeed, because it looks very interesting.
But this is going to be obviously an English-speaking film. So apparently it's been a passion project for Butler. He's been hoping to launch this franchise based on a comic book called Red 5 for a long time. Afterburn is a futuristic action adventure. 5 years after a solar flare disrupts all technology in Europe, a treasure hunter, played by Butler, goes to France to retrieve the Mona Lisa. Paired with a strong-willed weapons expert with her own agenda, the two search for the famed painting and encounter unexpected enemies along the way. They are eyeing future storylines where the character searches for other such treasures as England's crown jewels, the Star of India, or China's imperial treasures. So it's a treasure hunting movie where like an entire continent has become a post-apocalyptic wasteland or something to that effect.
This sounds awesome, except for Gerard Butler.
I mean,
where I kind of go, really? That's the best for this role?
I mean, it sounds like he's the one who's been championing it to get made. So, I mean, again, we've not watched The Villainous yet, so I don't have no idea. But like the director and the concept, I mean, I don't think Butler's terrible.
I don't think he's bad. I just don't see him as a. I don't know. I feel like treasure hunters need to be charismatic, and I don't think of him as charismatic.
But maybe that's kind of like that's the thing though. You're saying that because of Indiana Jones.
Well, it's not just that.
You're saying that as well because of Nathan Drake. Your mind's going to these very typical treasure hunter characters. Maybe the point here is that it's not like that. Maybe he's different.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But every treasure hunter thing I can think of, they've got charisma.
Maybe that's why it's time to do something. I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just thinking maybe it'll be a different type of character. It's not just going to be whatever Nicolas Cage was doing in National Treasure. I don't know. I think I saw the first one of that, but it was so forgettable. I don't remember it.
I didn't. I don't feel like I missed much.
I remember the plot being really stupid. Like, there was something written in the back of the Declaration. There was the key to finding something else. There was like a hidden message in the back of that. It was weird. So they had to break in and get that something. I don't know. Maybe that was the second one. I don't know. I only saw the first one though, but I at least heard of that stupid plot point. I know that much. Next up, we have Mark Wahlberg teaming with Peter Berg again, because they team up a lot, for a film called Mile 22. STX Films has announced that they're working on it. In fact, they're already working on a sequel.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Mile 22 is coming out in the summer, and the sequel is already being discussed, as is a scripted TV show and a VR component.
That's confidence.
Yeah, they're basically thinking this is going to be like a multimedia franchise that they're going to go all in on. It's called Mile 22. The movie tells the story of an elite American intelligence officer aided by a top-secret tactical command unit tries to smuggle a mysterious police officer with sensitive information out of a foreign country. It also stars John Malkovich, Lauren Cohen, and Ronda Rousey. So you got some people that are recognisable in there.
A VR companion to this.
The exact word was component, but yeah.
A component, okay. But, I mean, fine.
I don't know, a small VR game for like VR headsets, and they think a sequel on a TV show is going to happen. Like, how big do they expect this to hit? I don't...
That's the thing. Okay, as a TV show, it'll be on Fox or CBS.
Sure.
And it'll be fine for those networks, but I don't understand why this is going to be, separate to anything else.
I don't know. It
sounds really generic.
Yeah, for some reason they get into this thinking it's going to be a huge big deal, and I'm not sure why. But hey, So let's move on to the next thing. Maya Lord, which is going to be, or maybe Maya Lord. So you give it. No, Maya. Yeah, it's it's about Mayan culture. So I'll say Maya. Maya Lord. Yeah. So this is Roland Emmerich's next movie. I'll just let all the disappointment in the room just soak in. So basically, this is getting along. It's a story set against Mayan culture and the conquistador era of the early 1500s. Maya Lord follows a soldier named Guerrero, a priest named Aguilar, who both survive a violent shipwreck on the Yucatan Peninsula, only to be captured by a fierce Mayan tribe. With no hope for escape, the brilliant and pragmatic adventurer Gonzalo Guerrero chooses to adopt the Mayan culture as his own, while the uncompromising Father Aguilar holds true to his Christian faith. The conquistadors arrive and test the will of both men as they take different warring paths. There'd be potential in that concept. From Roland Emmerich, I expect nothing. I expect shallow surface
mediocrity
level garbage.
That's being generous.
Yeah, sure, being generous. But that's the thing that's happening. It's so it's Maya Lord, is what it's called. Next up, film called Skate Kitchen. Magnolia's bought the North American rights to it. Crystal Mazel's film, she directed it. It's inspired by a real life group of New York City female skateboarders, and it's going to get a theatrical release sometime in the summer. It stars actual skateboarder Rochelle Vinberg as well as Jaden Smith. As in Will Smith's kid. Yeah, just it was just.
I feel like he's been in enough stuff now that you don't need to say that.
Yeah, it felt really random because I was like, oh, this is some low budget indie movie about skateboarders, and I was like, oh, Jaden Smith's in it. But the story follows an introverted 18-year-old skateboarder, Camille, played by Vinberg, who discovers the Skate Kitchen, a subculture of girls whose lives revolve around skating, and bravely seeks them out. These sexually fluid, rambunctious big city girls quickly adopt naive Camille as one of their gang, and soon they're featuring her in trick videos and exposing her to a wild life she's never experienced. However, she soon learns that the complexity of friendship when she befriends a boy, played by Smith, from a rival group of skaters. Are they an all-boys skater group? Is it going to be like a battle of the sexes on the skate park?
Could be. I mean, sounds alright.
Yeah, there's not about it I dislike. It's just kind of all down to the execution. Are the characters likeable? Is it got a sort of funny bent on it? Is it more of a serious drama kind of thing?
Yeah.
Will it match the Disney Channel original film Brink in its quality? These are questions that dare to be answered.
What's Brink?
It is a Disney Channel original film that I remember watching on the Disney Channel when I was like 10. It came to my head.
Is it about skateboarding?
Actually, it's about rollerblading, that movie.
Close enough.
But it's about a competition in a skate park, yeah. If you want a skateboarding movie, I have seen Skateboard Kid 1 and 2 from my early days.
Can you vouch for them?
I've not seen them since I was a kid. They're probably terrible. They're both they're kind of unconnected movies where they both have the same plot, but they're kind of like, the second one was just this kind of like almost remake of it, where they build a skateboard that's kind of fancy. And actually, the first one he builds it, and he gets struck by lightning, and the soul of his dead father goes into the skateboard and talks to him. And then the second movie, it's just a skateboard that he goes and buys from a mysterious. Kind of think of remember the Adam Sandler film Click, where Christopher Walken's like this mysterious, godly like salesman.
Yeah, it's
kind of like that, where this kid gets a skateboard from this mysterious old janitor dude.
This sounds like a Goosebumps plot.
It kind of feels like one, to be honest. I remember the first one being more depressing than it should have been, though, for a kids' movie. Whereas the second one was more kind of the silliness that you'd expect from it.
Yeah.
Because was it both movies or just the second one where the skateboard actually flew at one point? I can't remember, but
I don't think I've ever watched a skateboarding movie in my life.
So that's 2 skateboarding movies and 1 roller skating movie that I've seen from my youth. They're probably all terrible, but hey, it's not often I get to reference those, okay?
No, take what you can get.
It's not often I get to reference Disney Channel originals either. While I'm at it.
Yeah. Do you think, just to get back to what we were talking about last week, the new Disney service?
Oh yeah.
To all those Disney Channel originals, do they keep making them for that, or do they make them for the service instead?
I don't know. Yeah, it depends. Are they still doing anything worth doing on Disney Channel, or?
I mean, I feel like do you go, all right, you pay for the service to get them like maybe not like maybe like timed exclusive on there sort of thing. You get them here first, and they'll go on the Disney Channel later.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. The only other one I kind of remember, there was one. I think it was more of a girls' movie, but I remember watching it. It was like this girl who lived in a space station in the future, but she'd grown up in the space station, and she had to come down to Earth for whatever reason as a teenager, and she had to join a regular school. But she was like used to being in the space station with all of her friends. So it was basically just kid has to move to a new school, but with the added little twist of she's used to all these space stuff. And
yeah, I don't think I ever watched anything on the Disney Channel.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I was fond of the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids TV show, and there was a TV show that was on after that called So Weird, which was kind of like a young teen version of like X-Files.
Of course, you were into that.
It was like a teenage girl who wrote down a blog called So Weird, and her big brother, who I think was the actor in Brink. Now that I'm really thinking about this.
Well, they're always in the same things, aren't they?
So it was her big brother and her mother. I can't remember what her mother's job was, but they were on a tour bus. They went around the country in this bus. So they'd always been in a different town. So they'd always discover something else that was weird, and in different places.
Okay.
And then Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was just like a sort of wacky sci-fi show with all these. They shrunk in the first episode, but after that it was just random different sci-fi inventor plots.
All right. Okay. No, I never watched anything. This is all like, what did the Disney Channel do?
Oh, Smart Guy was on Disney Channel. I watched that.
I have no idea what that is.
That was a sitcom. It was just a family sitcom, but the kid who was like 10 was like a genius and had the intellect of like a college professor.
Fair enough. I'm just trying to think like, well, why these things exist. I don't know.
I don't know. They all worked for me when I was in the right age range.
Good for you.
Probably don't hold up very well now, but I have fond memories of some of these things. Okay, where was I?
I had no idea.
Skate
Talking about
Kitchen.
skateboards.
We got there from Skate Kitchen. So that's the thing that's happening. Okay, so much for this one, but under 2 hours. All right, so next up, Michael Keaton is in negotiations to star in an inspirational drama called What Is Life Worth? It is based on a true story. It's a Blacklist script, and it's based on the Kenneth Feinberg acclaimed memoir recounting the inside story of the 9/11 Fund and its efforts to compensate victims. So, what life is? Sorry, I keep saying this the wrong way around. What Is Life Worth? Is billed as in the vein of Erin Brockovich and a little bit of Spotlight, which also starred Michael Keaton, funnily enough. It centers on Feinberg, a powerful DC insider lawyer who was put in charge of the 9/11 Fund. In almost 3 years of pro bono work on the case, Feinberg fought off the cynicism, bureaucracy, and politics associated with administering government funds. He personally struggled against the justice system's notion that compensation for death should be directly related to the financial circumstance of each victim, ultimately discovering what life is worth and coming away with the belief that all should be treated the same. That was a very dry paragraph to read.
Yeah,
but
and essentially all I got, okay, it's a feel-good movie.
It's going to be a movie where he, is a really sentimental kind of, he learns this
beats the
important
odds.
message. Which sounds like a fine kind of, I'll say it, Oscar bait movie. I feel like this is going to be something that's going to be there in the nominations. If it's done right, Michael Keaton's a good actor. I can see him pulling this off. It'll be a nice feel-good story should he do it. Obviously, it'll start off in a very dark place, but I can see there being,
No, I can see the heart to it.
Yeah.
It sounds fine, I guess. I never get excited for these sorts of movies, but they can be good.
Yeah. Next up, Dev Patel is attached to star in The Personal History of David Copperfield, a film based on Charles Dickens' semi-autobiographical novel David Copperfield, which we have Armando Iannucci. Iannucci, there you go. Who created Veep. He's going to direct it. It was written by him and Simon Blackwell.
I'm a big fan of both of those.
Who's Simon Blackwell?
He's a co-writer on a bunch of Iannucci's projects. The thick of it and stuff like that. I don't know if he worked on Veep as well. Maybe. I think he's involved in The Death of Stalin, which is his latest movie.
Okay. So, said to be a modern take on Dickens' chronicle of the life of the iconic title character, the film follows Copperfield as he navigates a chaotic world to find his elusive place within it. From his unhappy childhood to the discovery of his gift as a storyteller and writer, all while on a journey full of life, colour and humanity. That is a lot of fluff in that paragraph.
There is, yeah.
On his journey of life, colour, and humanity, it's just all fluff words. It's just, yeah. His life is learning he's a writer. There you go, done.
No. I really like Ian Jim Blackwell's comedy, so I'm expecting good things from this.
Okay, I have nothing to base that on, but I'll take your word for it. I'm not opposed to the idea, if nothing else. Alright, next up, this was one that was a bidding war, and Legendary Entertainment landed it. A film called Hustle, which has been produced by LeBron James's company, Spring Hill Entertainment. So, the project follows a washed-up basketball scout who discovers a Chinese streetball phenom and sees him as his ticket back to the NBA, talking him into coming to Los Angeles to train for the draft. The phenom is thrown into the hype machine of pro basketball prospects and must deal with being away from his family and village for the first time, while the scout tries to put back together the pieces of his family that he left behind.
Okay.
I have no idea what the tone of this is. Is this going to be a slightly funny movie? Is it going to be a drama? Is it going to be this, that?
Yeah.
Is it going to be heartwarming? Are they both going to like learn something by the end? Or is it going to be this thing where he's like manipulating them and just using them for his own gain? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I really don't. This is one of those premises where it's fine, but there's so much things they could do with it that I really have no idea what it'll be.
Basically, just need to wait and see. Like, if the director gets attached, maybe they'll be notable. Maybe that'll give us a hint or whatever. But certainly that's something that's in the works. Next up, Tessa Thompson, who of course was in Thor Ragnarok. She was in Westworld. So you might know. You should know her. She was in, of course, Creed, of course, as well. That's the first thing I saw her in. But she is signed on to portray Doris Payne in an Untitled film. It's a real person. This was a jewel thief who stole for years and years. It's a high-concept action drama in the vein of Catch Me If You Can and the Thomas Crown Affair. So, in her 6-decade-long career, Payne, who is now 87, would enter jewellery stores posing as a well-to-do woman looking for a diamond ring and asked to see an assortment of items. Using her charm, she would eventually cause the clerk to forget how many pieces were outside the cases and leave with one or two.
Genius.
So she was notorious for this.
6 decades.
6 decades of doing this. Payne's criminal record dates back to the 1950s. She was arrested many times and is admitted to having used 20 aliases, 10 social security numbers, and 9 dates of birth. Sounds like a bit of a character.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Tessa Thompson may have some fun with this one.
I think so.
I like her though.
I do as well. Yeah.
So I feel like this has to have a bit of a. I know it says high octane action drama. I feel like it's going to have a sense of humor though.
Oh, probably. I mean, it must do. It says high concept as well. Often those tend to be quite funny.
So I see potentially. I like Tessa Thompson. She's obviously one of these stars that are kind of on the way up. She's starting to be in a lot of things. Yeah,
I know. I've not seen Creed, but Thor showed me she can handle the comedy side of things if they want to do something funny.
The first thing I'll say is she has presence. Like, I feel like when she's on the screen, she's kind of demanding your attention. It was like that in Thor. It was like that in Creed. Less or so in Westworld, but I remember.
It's a tiny role comparatively.
Yeah. But no, so she's really good. So yeah.
No, I'm a fan.
So this next film, which has been picked up by Avalon to give it an awards season release, so it's coming out in September for the awards season. It stars Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. It has the cheek to call itself Serenity. It has no affiliation with the Serenity of Firefly by Joss Whedon, who of course also did the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Nailed it. So yeah, Serenity centres on a fishing boat captain, played by McConaughey, who is forced to grapple with his mysterious past after a glamorous woman, played by Anne Hathaway, crashes up against his simple life on like how what they did there with the crashes up against, as if, water the rocks, fishing puns.
Got it.
Yeah. So his simple life on a small island in the Caribbean and leaves him questioning his reality. Jason Clarke's also in it. As is Diane Lane and Jimon Hunzo, if I said that remotely right. The guy from Gladiator.
Okay. I think he has become to known more now from Guardians of the Galaxy,
Oh,
right?
who? Yeah, he's the guy who goes,
Yeah.
who? Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. I feel like that's what more people will know him from now.
Yeah, I just always knew him from Gladiator, so when he showed up in Guardians, I thought, oh, that's the guy from Gladiator.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I get that, but I think now people go, oh, the Guardians guy.
Yeah. And to his credit, he's not aging much, actually, because when I saw him in Guardians, he looks the same age as he did in Gladiator.
Yeah. It's one of those.
Yeah. I think it helps that he's completely bald. I think that helps him, because you don't see the hair going
that
grey.
helps a lot for those sorts of people. You don't see the passage of time and either losing the hair or it going grey.
Yeah, you don't see that, yeah. It's not until they start to get properly wrinkly where you're like, oh wait, you're actually looking quite old now. Takes a while. But yeah, but the most interesting part of that, see, I want to be mad at this for using the name Serenity. I want to be mad at it. I want to be mad and say, hey, screw you, taking that name from one of the best science fiction series ever. How dare you? How dare you, sir? But when it's Stephen Knight, the director of Locke, I can't really be that mad, because that was a fantastic film, and this is probably
so good.
This is the thing. I mean, the synopsis sounds fine. It's like, okay, it's a drama, fine, whatever. Then you put on the director of Locke, which was a fantastic film set entirely in a car with Tom Hardy. You know what? Okay,
that shouldn't work really when you tell me what it is.
That was fantastic. I loved Locke.
It's so good.
So now all of a sudden I'm excited for this. I mean, obviously I like the cast. You know, McConaughey's quite good often. Hathaway, Jason Clarke, these are all good actors. You have a great director. I am suddenly on board for this. Like, this is the thing, this was in the order, it didn't tell me who the director was till the end of it. So I'm like, okay, that sounds fine, it's just a drama, it's a good cast. Oh, it's him directing it? Okay, all of a sudden, on
Interest
the hype.
peaked.
Yeah. So, that's one of those cases where it's the talent behind it that is immediately just put it on the radar.
Yeah.
Alright, next up, we have a new film that is going to star Samara Weaving, who of course was the lead star in The Babysitter. She had a small role as well in 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. I'm actually impressed I remembered the town and state of that movie, because I always just call it 3 Billboards.
Yeah,
but there you go. Also going to star Carly Chaikin from Mr. Robot.
I like this a lot.
Funnily enough, I still think of her first as the mean girl from Suburgatory, because she was in that first.
I never watched that.
And I remember when Mr. Robot started, I got really confused at first, was trying to remember her name, because her name's Darlene, of course, on Mr. Robot, but her name in Suburgatory, which I'm really struggling to remember now, but it was also a D. It was Darlene. Oh, I can't remember now, but it was an all D word. And but when Mr. Robot started, I really struggled.
Really?
Because I kept going back to the name in that show, because it was another D word. Darla? Wasn't Darla. But no, it was another D word. Regardless. So Carly Chaikin. I like her too. So, so they're going to be in this movie. It's an indie drama called Last Moment of Clarity, which also stars Zach Avery. It's currently been filmed in Virginia. Writer-director brothers, Colin Crissell and James Crissell, are doing it. It's their debut. So we've got a sibling team of writer-directors. Which sometimes works out. Some good examples. It follows Sam, who's the Zach Avery dude. After witnessing the murder of his fiancée, Georgia, played by Weaving, flees to Paris to forget. 3 years later, Sam finds himself a paranoid drifter, until one day, at a Parisian cinema, he spots an actress who looks exactly like his dead love. Sam re-emerges in Los Angeles and reconnects with his old friend Kat, played by Chaikin, and together they try to avoid the Albanian mafia while uncovering the truth about Georgia. That got a bit more interesting towards the end, because now it's like, okay, did she fake her death? And they'll try to figure it out, and they're on the run from the mafia for some reason. Why?
No idea.
Brian Cox is also in it.
Okay, cool. I mean, it sounds potentially fun.
Yeah, I like the cast. So, all right, next up we have a film called Booksmart, where for some reason actors are making directorial debuts a lot recently. Olivia Wilde is directing a movie.
Okay.
Called Booksmart. Annapurna Pictures are making it for, or the company she's doing it with, and Caitlin Dever and Beanie Fieldstein. I actually just double checked that was Beanie and not Bernie, because I was like, Beanie? That's not a word.
That's fair.
Oh, not a name. Beanie.
It's barely a word.
It's barely a word. Alright, the story follows Deaver and Fieldstein's characters who are on the eve of their high school graduation. Two academic superstars and best friends suddenly realise that they should have worked less and played more. Determined never to fall short of their peers, the girls set out on a mission to cram 4 years of fun into one night. So it's a high school comedy about two kids who want to go wild in the last night because they've realised they've been nerds the whole time.
Yeah, could be fine, could be funny.
Yeah. I have no idea what to expect from Olivia Wilde. I mean, this is one of those ones where I probably would have just cut this out, but it was because Olivia Wilde was the director. I'm like, okay, I need to mention that.
Yeah, I get it.
But hey, so that's actually the last of the regular news. And I've got hair in my mouth. That's so unprofessional. Right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Ugh. I live with 3 cats. Hairs are just like flying around. You sometimes just get hair.
I get it.
Could also be my beard. I don't know. That's also possible.
Blame the cats, but it could be me.
Could be me. I'm a hairy fellow. What can I say? But that does take us on to the horror section, which is actually kind of lively this week. That's quick. Unfortunately, for getting this under 2 hours, it's not looking too good. But we have interesting things. So first up, Warner Brothers has delayed a movie. We got another delay.
Is this really that interesting?
The Nun, the spin-off to the Conjuring movies, was meant to come out in July, and it's been pushed back to September, which I feel like just put it in October.
That's the thing. Money on this gets pushed another couple of weeks.
No, see, you say that, but last year me and Tim were kind of like constantly complaining that there was like 3 or 4 horror movies out in September, and then there was like one shitty one out in October. That's what happened last year.
Yeah, it came out in September, right?
That was September, yep.
Yeah. Which again, it's like, why? Do you know what I think it is? I think they're all afraid of overcrowding October, so they're like, everyone else can have October. We'll go before. We'll get in before the rush.
I think part of it is they hope that if it has enough legs, it'll still be there for Halloween, and it'll get like a boost like halfway through its run because Halloween then comes. And obviously that worked for it because it made like a silly amount of money. It was about $700 million, which is, you know, for a horror movie, it's
insane.
Insane. Yeah. Maybe even the biggest ever, if I remember correctly. So yeah, so it's pushed to September. The nun centers on a young nun at an abbey in Romania, taking her own life with a priest with a haunted past. Yeah,
I feel like you shouldn't say haunted past when you refer in a horror movie, because I don't think they mean he was actually haunted. But when you're talking about these sorts of movies, that's obviously what your mind first goes to.
Yeah, so a new nun and a priest working together to try and solve the secrets.
Sounds like the setup of a joke. A nun, a priest, and what was there else?
Choir boy.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a really dark joke to go down.
That's why I stayed away.
I'm not doing it. So yeah, interestingly, the film stars Tassia Farmiga, who is the younger sister of Vera Farmiga, who is obviously one of the main characters in the Conjuring movies. And I remember, obviously the name makes it obvious, but I remembered her quite clearly because she was in The Final Girls, which I have a lot of fun with. I like that movie a lot. But I remember always being shocked that she's her sister, because I assumed she was her daughter, because the age difference is quite big. She's, I don't know what age she is exactly now, but, Vera Farmiga is like about 40 and she's like 20. So, it was like, I kind of assume mother-daughter. I'm never going to say that to Vera Farmiga's face, because I'll probably get slapped, but yeah,
probably.
I genuinely thought it was a mother-daughter thing, but no, they're actually just sisters with a big, huge gap between them. I don't know if they actually is a full 20 years, but it looks that much. Not because Vera Farmiga looks old, but because Tassia Farmiga.
This is getting worse and worse. You're digging a hole.
Tassia Farmiga just has that. She can play a teenager still. She has that kind of look to her, right?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Right. She looks young.
Yeah, fair enough. Apologies if you could all hear this banging. There's construction going on next door.
Is that what's happening? Is
that
what the hammering is?
Yeah, there's someone hammering next door against the wall.
But yeah, so that's been pushed back to September. I mean, the last spin-off, Annabelle, was absolute garbage, so we'll see how this one fares. Hopefully it's better.
I never watched that because I thought, why would I?
Yeah. They also have another spin-off, The Crooked Man, is also in development.
Of course.
So
didn't we get enough of that in the second movie? Why do we need a spin-off for that?
Also, The Conjuring 3 is also in development, because of course it is.
Well, that's fine. I get that one. They're doing something new.
By the time we get to The Conjuring 3, it'll be the 6th movie in the franchise. Which is kind of funny to me. But hey, what's next? So here's something that I expect with a director I did not expect. A Five Nights at Freddy's movie is in the works. Because obviously it is. Very popular game.
Yeah.
You know, people love watching people play this game on the YouTubes, on the Twitch. It's a game. It's kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese kind of knockoff with all these like big animatronic bears and stuff. But they come to life at night and come after the security guard who's watching the security cameras. That's the premise. It's that simple. And there's like hints of backstory in the games about a kid that died and that's why everything's happening. But Chris Columbus is signed to write and direct it for Blumhouse. Blumhouse is the company.
Honestly, I thought you were just going to tell me it's producing. And I was going to be like,
write
okay,
direct.
That's still interesting, but write and direct.
The guy who did Home Alone, the first 2 Harry Potter movies, is doing Five Nights at Freddy's.
Hey, if he wants to step out of his comfort zone and do something different, credit to him.
Yeah. So, yeah, apparently the rights for the movies were up in the air. Apparently New Line wanted to do it. A lot of different places wanted to do it. And the reason why it ended up at Blumhouse is because Jason Blum actually became friends with the creator of the game.
Oh,
Scott
who's an entire character in of himself.
Yeah, Scott Cawthon. He made all 5 games.
And the MMO thing.
Yeah, and the RPG thing that came up afterwards. But he did all of it himself. It's all his. Yeah. So he's about to... he's probably already rich from the game itself, but he's about to become filthy rich if this movie takes off in a big way.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. And, yeah, that first game only came out in 2014. And, there's been so many of them.
Yeah.
There was, like, one every, like, 8 months for, like... a couple of years.
Credit to the guy who did them all himself. Yeah.
And
he actively cared. I know when Freddy World came out,
the RPG afterwards. Yeah.
It got a lot of shit for being broken and whatnot. And he immediately took it off sale, went away, spent a few months updating it, and then came back and okay, I'm just giving it away for free. You can all have it.
Yeah, he refunded everyone else as well.
He did refund everyone as well. Yeah.
So he's got principles.
Yeah, definitely.
Unlike Connor's stupid neighbour.
Do you know what? This is why we don't usually record at this time of day, because this is every day.
Really?
Yeah. It's been going on for about 3 months.
What?
I have no idea what they're doing.
If he's building a bookcase, he should be done by now.
Yeah, this has been every day for like 3 months.
What sort of room is he building? Jesus Christ.
I have no idea.
Does he just have like a carpentry like shop that he just runs out of his house?
I think they're redoing the entire apartment.
All right, okay. Oh, weirdos. Sounds like a lot of effort to me.
It does.
Anyway.
I'm usually asleep at this time.
So, next up we have Amblin Pictures acquired the rights to Larry. Larry. Guy named Larry. That's a film named Larry.
What is Larry?
Larry is actually originally a horror short film. Writer-director Jacob Chase, who did the short film, is going to write and direct the feature-length movie that's based on it.
See, told you it was a thing.
What's the thing?
When we were talking about Kung Fury earlier, and I said, yeah, it's weird for it to be a sequel instead of just based on.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't dispute that, though.
No, I know, but I just...
You said that like it was a victory point, a victory lap to take.
A victory against anyone who was just, disputing me in the audience. Comment sections are there.
The short follows the story of Larry, a terrifying monster who manifests through high-tech devices like smartphones and other screen devices. The feature length will borrow this angle, fused to a storyline about a troubled young boy who creates the monster from his own nightmares. The aim is to create a grounded horror film in the vein of The Ring or Poltergeist. I don't know how grounded I'd say those were.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, rock on. I really what they're saying there is, the TV in The Ring and then the TV from Poltergeist. They want TV horror. That's basically what they want.
Basically, yeah.
They want things coming out of TV screens and smartphones. The hope is to follow in the footsteps of Lights Out and Mama, which were both short films first and then turned into full things. And both of which were varying degrees of okay, but not particularly great.
I never saw Mama, but Lights Out I watched in October and it was fine. I feel like it was pretty better as a short film because its premise couldn't outstay its welcome.
I think the premise could have worked for a full film. They just never capitalised on it.
Oh, that's fair.
Because I did the review with Tim after we saw it when it came out, we were like just given all these ideas. Oh, they could have done this and they could have done that, and we were like,
it's not a bad movie. It's just underwhelming.
Yeah, and it does that thing where it spends like 20 minutes with a big flashback explaining why the ghost exists, and I was just like, well, this is too much. Next up, CBS Films is making a film called Hellfest, and they have set its cast. Gregory Plotkin is directing it. Gaylan Hurd is producing it. Gaylan Hurd, of course, produced a lot of James Cameron films back in the day, and she's done a bunch of other stuff recently as well. It is a genre film about a masked serial killer who turns a horror-themed amusement park into his own personal Halloween slaughterhouse. I'm liking the sound of this so far. Amy Forsyth is going to be in it. It says here The Path and Rise is her credits, but you will know her as the lead from the second season of Channel Zero. No End House.
Ah, okay.
Rain Edwards is in it, who apparently was in MacGyver, so clearly don't remember her. And Bex Taylor Klaus, who we do know her. She was in Arrow. She was the short-haired girl from Arrow from the earlier seasons. She was like
Roy's friend.
Roy's friend. That was who it was. Yeah. And she was in the Stream TV show from the brief amount of that I saw.
Okay. All right, I know who you're on about. I think she popped up on iZombie as well at some point.
She probably did for an episode, yeah. And they will play three friends who race to save patrons who believe the gore is all part of the thematic scare show. This is potentially a lot of fun. I have no idea if the director's any good, or if this will strike the tone that we want. Here's the thing. So the director has directed one pretty mediocre to bad movie. Not terrible, but Paranormal Activity 6, The Ghost Dimension, is not exactly the high caliber that one would hope. However, since then, he has edited other films, much better films. He edited both Get Out and Happy Death Day. So maybe he's picked up a few things.
Maybe.
Here's the funny thing, actually. This is actually maybe a weird fact that people won't actually realise. It's meant to come out in October this year, by the way. So there you go, October release.
Finally, someone hit in October.
But here's the thing people don't realise, actually, is that sometimes editors actually make some of the best directors. Like, if they grow up, not grow up, but like if they train as an editor first, and then they try directing, they can sometimes be very good at it. They're at least very efficient, because they understand all the pieces they need for the edit.
They do, and editors understand flow better than anyone. So their movies tend to, have a really good pace to them.
That's why I think any director should learn to edit as well, alongside, and just make sure they understand the principles of it, because I think it helps a lot. Even for me, like, doing student films, I felt like having edited some stuff myself, I understood what I was trying to get when I was shooting. It helped. But hey, so that sounds interesting. That's Hellfest. That could be fun. It could also be terrible. It really just depends. But I like the premise.
Yeah, me too.
Horror-themed amusement park. Chaos. Alright, next up, Osgood Perkins is on board to write and direct A Head Full of Ghosts. This is Focus Features doing this as an adaptation of the Paul Tremblay thriller novel. The film tells the story of Mary. Not Mary, Mary. I was just to clarify that, because obviously it's very similar.
It is in your accent.
Yeah. Mary, as in Merry Christmas.
I just love the idea that you're really having to go, this is what I'm saying.
Mary. Not Mary. Mary.
Oh, this is like woman and women again.
Who 20 years after her family was publicly consumed and destroyed by her teenage sister's mysterious and horrific affliction, is approached by a journalist to tell her story in her own words. She reveals a far more terrifying version of what really happened in her childhood home. Who is Osgood Perkins, you might ask, the director of this? They directed The Blackcoat's Daughter, which actually me and Tim watched last year, and I quite liked that.
Yeah, you've been going on about that for a while.
Also did I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. I've not seen that yet, but it is on the to-watch list. But I like Blackcoat's Daughter quite a bit, so I'm vaguely interested in this, based on that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, premise is okay. So
yeah.
Small update on A24's The Lighthouse, which of course is Robert Eggers, the director of The Witch, who's doing that. They have added Robert Pattinson to the cast, which, I don't particularly like him, but I trust the director to do what he's doing. So.
I think he's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think he's ever been the problem with any of the movies he's been in.
Yeah. It's not like everything else in Twilight was, raising success.
It's not like he's dragging it down, is it?
Obviously, he joins Willem Dafoe, who we already knew about. This is the fantasy horror story set in the world of old seafaring myths, and it's going into production in the spring. So
looks like they're giving it at least a reasonable casting budget.
It does, doesn't it? I wonder if The Witch got him some cred with some actors who are like, oh, I want to work with him now because
quite possibly
what he's doing. And then last up on the news this week in the horror section, we have Michael Bonvillain, who I want to point out is the letter D away from his last name being Bondvillain.
I don't think that needed pointing out. It's really obvious.
But I just want to say it. So Michael Bonvillain is making his directorial debut. He is a cinematographer traditionally. He worked on Cloverfield. He worked on episodes of Lost as a cinematographer. So he's done some stuff that you've heard of. He is going to work on a dark horror comedy called Teddy Bears Are for Lovers.
Okay, I like the title.
Yeah, he's in talks with Weta Workshop. Peter Jackson's place that did all the Lord of the Rings effects to do the practical effects for the teddy bears.
That has me excited. I think Weta are excellent at practical effects.
It's based on a short film. The film's set during a Valentine's Day party. So you'd have to imagine they're maybe planning this
aiming this for February.
For next February. You'd have to imagine so. So yeah, it follows. It's a Valentine's Day party. It follows a college playboy, Colin, and his current head-over-heels girlfriend, Sarah, as they are targeted by a group of bloodthirsty but adorable teddy bears who come to life seeking revenge for the broken hearts of Colin's ex-girlfriends. Together, the couple must evade the teddy bears and earn the forgiveness of the begrudged and wildly different ex-girlfriends before the sun rises in order to break the curse, all while confronting whether their current relationship is meant to be. It's also worth mentioning, given the premises especially, that it's executive produced by Joe Dante, who of course did the Gremlins movies and Inner Space. It seems like it does feel like a sort of Gremlins-esque movie by the sounds of it. Yeah. So
sounds fun.
It does sound fun. I think there's potential for that to be a nice fun horror comedy. So we got the more serious Five Nights at Freddy's with the big evil teddy bears, and then we got this more fun, light-hearted horror comedy teddy bear movie.
Yeah, be honest, I'm more excited for this one.
If they pull off Five Nights at Freddy's, it could be special.
It could be.
Yeah, I kind of wish Freddy would go for your neighbour right about now.
I do too.
So that is the news, which brings us on to talking about what we watched this week. That wasn't for review purposes, because obviously a lot of stuff will pop up in reviews if it hasn't already. We'll talk about what came up review-wise after this at the end. But I have one movie that wasn't for review purposes this week.
I've got a couple, so I'll start.
You go first then. What did you watch?
So this is something you brought up actually in this week's episode, and this is last week I mentioned Happy Death Day, and I followed that up with another horror comedy that was The Babysitter. I thought this was a blast. I had a lot more fun with this than I did Happy Death Day, which I thought was good but not great. This, on the other hand, I loved.
A bit on par for me. I like both a lot.
No, this was just so much fun. And it was just hitting everything I wanted from a horror comedy.
Yeah, McG made a good film. It's bizarre.
It is surprising, and I've also noticed that with the one that Robbie Mills got coming up, that'll be his third Netflix movie.
What do you mean coming up? It came out.
I did. It was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was next week for some reason, but
yeah. So it's already out. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, that's three. Oh, what's going on there?
I don't know. I guess Netflix like him. They keep putting him in their movies.
Clearly.
Why not?
Yeah. But,
yeah. And I watched the film from last year because I'm still catching up in 2017 movies before we do our top 10s, just in case anything sneaks in. I watched Super Dark Times, which is a darker sort of coming-of-age thriller, I'll call it. It's about a group of friends, well, two best friends, and then there's kind of like an acquaintance and then the annoying kid. And the premise of the film is that basically they end up with a katana, because one of the bigger the older brothers is away in the military, and it's set in 1996 for the record as well. And basically one of the kids accidentally stabs one of the other kids, and it's all kind of...
How do you accidentally stab someone?
Well, when you get into a tussle and one of you's holding a katana,
Good
You
answer.
know, yeah, that's how you accidentally stab someone. I mean, to be honest, he more falls on the blade, really, but when they
Okay.
fall over. But it's, but it's kind of this, like, the three guys that are left, they kind of cover it up, and it's kind of about the slow burning, like, paranoia, the fear, the guilt of what's going on, as like normal teen things are like trying to happen around them. Like, there's this girl who's into the main guy, and she keeps trying to, invite him to like her birthday party and stuff, and it's like, it's really well directed. I think it's the directorial debut of the director, and it's like super sort of like really well intentioned and methodical, sort of dark, like slow moving pacing throughout, and it gets really tense towards the end. And it goes in a place that's kind of interesting. I think the ending kind of spins it a little bit. Like the final point of the film is kind of very different from what I was expecting. Not in a weird way, just in a like, oh, okay, so that's kind of the point you're making at the end.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting. It's kind of like a dark companion to a John Hughes movie.
Okay, that has me more interested.
Because it ultimately has a lot more. It's got something to say about growing up, but whilst also having this very dark core to it about what's happening. And while it's set in 1996, it's never actually really used for nostalgia purposes. It's like never. Like, there's a couple of times where obviously the technology's there or whatever.
It's more just, hey, we don't have smartphones right now.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, the movie opens with them trying to watch the scrambled porn. Because remember how cable channels used to have it like scrambled.
Yeah.
The young folk don't remember these dark days.
No, why would they? They're just, internet. It's all there for now.
The funniest thing is, though, is that at the age when I was, when I didn't have internet, I shouldn't have been caring about the porn anyway, but I still remember trying to see the scrambled porn.
Don't we all?
It's just not, it's part of growing up. Well, at least it was at the time. Nowadays, not so much. But yeah, you actually forget at times it's actually not set present day. I think there's I think it's actually just a personal thing. Like, I imagine the director probably, that was when he was maybe that age as a teenager.
That makes sense.
And I think it's more just kind of like that'd be my guess. Or maybe the writer was that age at that time. It's a bit older than me, of course. I wasn't a teenager in the 90s. I was in my single digits. But
yeah, well, fair enough.
That was very good, though. I liked it a lot. Really well handled.
Cool. So after that, I knew something that I was going to watch because it was on my to catch up list. Mm-hmm. But there was something I needed to do first. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. I needed to watch The Room. Now, I watched this when I couldn't sleep. I'd been awake for about 21 hours.
What a story.
It was an experience. It is the first movie I have never rated because I don't know what to rate it. I don't know how to rate it. I don't know. I can't fathom it.
You invited all my friends. Good thinking.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's not much I can say that hasn't been said already.
Hey, me and Tim did a commentary for it on the Patreon for the commentary tier folk. Yeah, we did that a few months ago. It is a baffling film which everyone should watch once just for the experience.
Oh, absolutely. It's oh man. I have no words. I said I don't know what to rate this out of 10 because it's atrocious. It's like easily one of the worst films ever made, but it's utterly enthralling. Like, you can't look away. And I definitely got some level of enjoyment out of it because of that.
I got the test results back. I've definitely got breast cancer. Oh, you'll be fine. Oh, I'm sure you're right. I'll be fine.
Yeah. But of course, I did then watch The Disaster Artist, which I thought was very good.
It's pretty enjoyable. I can't put it super high in terms of like praising it because ultimately it just
is.
It just is. Like, it just tells the story, but it does lead to some fun. Because I was a little bit worried at the start of the movie because I've not had a chance to speak about this yet either. But I saw it a while ago. The start of it, I was a little bit worried because I was like, because at first it was like, oh, Franco's doing an impression of Tommy Wiseau, and it feels like an impression. Luckily, over time, that kind of like fades away.
It settles into it a bit.
You get used to it a little bit. That said, I will say, it definitely picks up when it actually starts to become about making the room. I feel like the build up to it is not as good as until it actually hits
I
that.
agree. And obviously his brother's in it. I'm really glad that his brother grows the beard because for a long time, because they look very similar, obviously. Yeah. He's looking down at his brother, and I'm just going, it looks like he's talking to himself because because obviously he's not looking like himself. He's in character.
Yeah.
And it was surreal. So once the beard came in, I was like, that's better. Hide the jawbones. But,
yeah, it's a fun time. If you're interested in The Room, it's fun for the background stuff. Obviously, I imagine the actually getting the book, the Disaster Artist would give you way more work, of course.
Probably.
But
yeah.
I had fun with it. I enjoyed my time. And there was the odd little tidbit like in between the scenes, and that was some of my favourite stuff was when they were actually shooting stuff, and there'd be like these little arguments in between the takes and stuff like that. That was typically my favourite parts of the movie.
Yeah, no, it was very good, but it wasn't like. I understand why it's not been nominated for loads of awards and stuff because I know there was people on the hype train saying it should have been, and I don't think it should have. No, it's fascinating to watch, and it's pretty good, but it's nothing amazing.
But hey, so.
Just a little side note. I mentioned I read Ready Player One this week. I also read Artemis, which is the newest book from Andy Weir, the guy who wrote The Martian. And I'm excited for the film that's coming for that now. Because before it was like, okay, could be cool. It was they announced the film before the book even came out from Lord and Miller. And I'm excited to see their take on this now because it's like such a it's got a lot of comedic elements that should work for them.
Okay. But there you go. That's what we watched this week outside of review movies, of course. In terms of what came up this week, to plug the stuff, a review of The Post went up. Me and Cara did that on Gigawatts. Also in Flux this week had Lars and the Real Girl, which was kind of our unconventional romance movie for Valentine's Day. So of course Patreon this week got Mean Girls for Influx. So that'll be coming next week publicly for YouTube. In terms of Screams After Midnight, our Valentine's movie was Valentine from 2001. We also had a review of The Ritual, which was pretty good, by the way. We both it's been a while since we both loved a horror movie, but that was one. So that's that. And of course, the new Victor Crowley, the fourth Hatchet movie, is coming next week for the public. That was up on Patreon this week. So that's what came up this week on the channel. So
and maybe some bonuses again. Because we're in that sort of zone.
Yeah, very possible there'll be one or two extra gigawatts coming in the near future. But that is... and obviously Black Panther is coming up. I believe me and Matt will be recording that on Monday. So you can expect it sometime on Monday night. But hey, but that is us. We made it through the news. And I think this was shorter. I think this...
It's definitely over 2 hours.
It is. I think it's like 2 hours 10 minutes though. I'll find out when I edit it. But
I think somewhere in the 2 hours 5 to 2:15 range.
Yeah, which is shorter than most of the previous episodes, so I suppose I'll take the win. But still, not
try
enough.
again next week.
Yeah, need to cut down on a few stories. Need to get it down there. But hey, that is, and to be honest, we had a shorter trailer section this week. If those trailers had been the same amount as the last few weeks,
we'd easily be at 2.5.
Yeah. So I guess we accomplished nothing. But that is us. Let us know what you thought of any of the news this week, what your favourite trailers were, and the comments below, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. We actually started a Mail Fuzz TV Twitch channel this week, which isn't a serious thing. It's not like a big commitment. It'll be like a new part of the offerings for Mail Fuzz. It'll just be occasionally when I feel like playing a game and streaming it. You can come and talk to me if you want live. In the chat, so it's just Mail Fuzz TV on Twitch if you want to go find that. But hey, I was streaming yesterday, some Dead Rising, but and sometimes it might be more than me. Sometimes Connor might jump in as well.
I might jump on every so often. Yeah.
In the past, but it won't be like a heavily scheduled thing. It's just a sort of casual thing. As a bonus thing. But so that exists, so you can go check out that. Get us on patreon.com, of course, at MailFuzz TV over there. There'll be a link in the description, and just have a look at the bonuses and all the rest of it. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies. Do I have a outro for this? I don't think I do.
I don't think you do.
I don't think I do. No. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.